All right, we are back once again with the live coverage on the Brisbane severe thunderstorm situation. We have significant severe thunderstorms developing into southeast Queensland, but also across a wide swathe of central Queensland and then in towards actual central Queensland. We have some significant severe thunderstorms now beginning to develop. Very dangerous thunderstorms is the headline for these locations. Very, very significant severe thunderstorm activity, and we're expecting these severe thunderstorms to continue producing large hailstones, damaging winds, locally destructive winds even, and some heavy rainfall over the next couple of hours. So I'm going to be live for the rest of the evening tracking these severe thunderstorms. We've got a very big one over here outside of Taroom. It's really producing some large, potentially giant hailstones at this current time, and you can see we've got some very intense precipitation rates developing in this thunderstorm here. It is looking like it is starting to weaken off just a little bit, but we still have those gnarly black colours towards the south of Taroom, which means giant hailstones still occurring down there. But it's becoming a very stormy picture now across Brisbane and southeast Queensland. So we've got plenty more to talk about, including a powerful, potentially very dangerous thunderstorm moving into the Esk area. A lot of thunderstorm warnings across southeast Queensland. Like I said, that very dangerous thunderstorm around the Esk area, and now those upscaling dangerous squall lines beginning to develop as well. The ones that we've been talking about, including Brisbane, which is now under a direct severe thunderstorm warning from this cluster of storms that's going to pass south of the Brisbane River and then move into the Brisbane city area itself. We're expecting very significant impacts from that one for areas towards the south of Brisbane. And that is definitely a thunderstorm that has caught my eye and caught my attention, and something that we will be watching like a hawk throughout the remainder of this live coverage. Lots and lots of reports of significant thunder in the Brisbane area, including around the Ipswich area as well. Whilst we don't have giant hailstones occurring in the Ipswich area right now, we do still have likely some small hailstones around Ipswich, some heavy rainfall as well, and some pretty substantial lightning activity too. So again, back with this coverage to make sure that everybody is in the know. Our two thunderstorms into the Brisbane area that we are watching is, of course, our Ipswich one, which is a separate severe thunderstorm warning. That is moving in towards the Logan City, which is down here, north of Greenbank, and then eventually into the Redland City over there. Brisbane is right here. And we've got this severe thunderstorm over here in the Esk area. This is a powerful supercell thunderstorm that's going to pass right over Esk. Esk has really copped the rough end of the stick throughout the course of today. They've had multiple strong severe thunderstorms move through there. But over the Wivenhoe Dam area, we're expecting this Esk thunderstorm to continue dropping large hailstones, potentially giant hailstones at times. And as you can see, in terms of the reflectivity readings that we're getting out of this Esk storm system here, 65, 66 decibels, pushing 68, even close to 70 decibels in this thunderstorm. It is a very strong one indeed. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to send them through in the chat, and I'll get back to them as soon as I can. There's a lot of reports coming in already of lightning, but yeah, this is the upscaling stuff. This is what we're looking at right now as these thunderstorms begin to upscale. Zooming out a little bit, we do have this line of strong thunderstorms that's now pushing into the South Burnett forecast district. So we're talking Kenilworth and Kadanga in the next half an hour, Gympie in about 45 minutes, Kilkivan as well, or Kilkivan in the next 45 minutes as well, potentially Proston as well, if these thunderstorms continue to upscale, but it doesn't look like likely at that point in time. Still a few thunderstorms developing on this dry line here, which are moving into the Toowoomba area too. They may become severe, and we could be seeing some supercell thunderstorms develop out of that. And then, of course, our two strong thunderstorms moving into the Brisbane area. Like I said, those Esk storms and that Ipswich one, significant at that time. So it is busy. I mean, we're pushing into, it would at least be our sixth or seventh hour of coverage now looking at these thunderstorms. It's been a long one. We've also now got some thunderstorms moving down into the Gold Coast area, including a strong one which is now moving into the Gold Coast area itself. In terms of severe thunderstorms on the Gold Coast, not really looking too strong at this point in time, but yeah, definitely around the Mount Tamborine area, a bit of a thunderstorm moving through there, some heavy rainfall pushing in. But this Ipswich one here, that is separately severe warned. It could go very dangerous again for that hail, and we're going to see rainfall begin to pick up into the Brisbane city area. And speaking of Brisbane, we can have a look actually at what we're looking at on the live feed here. Just have a look where I'm circling right now. Lots of lightning activity on this screen, and you can see that wall cloud now beginning to develop here along this Ipswich thunderstorm. So this wall cloud here, as this thunderstorm continues to track, which is going to pass south of Brisbane, this is going to miss Brisbane but give us a great show here, including this upper level stratusbank that we're beginning to see develop. This is a very, very potent appearance on a thunderstorm, and it could drop hail or could go supercellular pretty much at any time. So definitely a storm very much worth a watch. And yeah, just an update on that. You can see that Ipswich storm is individually severe warned. So 8 centimetre hailstones reported at Norwood Station. That is, of course, on our thunderstorm outside of Taroom. So through this area here, we've had some absolutely whopper impacts from these thunderstorms. Taroom, I'm not sure how Taroom is faring. We haven't actually heard anything from Taroom. They've likely been completely cut off as a result of these thunderstorms. But a massive high precipitation supercell thunderstorm has been moving into the Taroom area. And we've got lots of thunderstorms moving behind it, dropping large and giant hailstones on a very regular basis, dropping lots of these large and giant hailstones. And these thunderstorms are continuing to push further out towards the northeast as well. They're starting to upscale now, but they are just so severe and so strong. And at Norwood Station, we had, like I said, just those 8 centimetre hailstones as well. 5 centimetre stones at Yaliba, which is towards the south of Roma, and lots of significant impacts today. Already 9 centimetre hailstones at Pratton, which is just outside of Clifton. Extremely dangerous severe thunderstorms we've seen through a wide swathe of southeastern Queensland, and just truly one of the days that's going to go down in the history books and used as a comparison in the future for these severe thunderstorms. I mean, massive squall line beginning to develop now, moving into the South Burnett forecast district, as we did expect. Lots of lightning activity, and then of course still a few individual thunderstorms developing down here, and like I said, that strong thunderstorm into the Esk area, and a couple of thunderstorms as well around the Glasshouse Mountains north of Caboolture into the Brisbane region as well. So still a lot of thunderstorm activity in these areas. Now, Brisbane is brewing. Brisbane in the next couple of hours is going to be put on notice for these severe thunderstorms, and significant impacts are no doubt going to happen through the Brisbane city area as these thunderstorms begin to ramp up here. And it's just going to be the continued upscaling of these thunderstorms. We're going to start to see this rainfall really pick up into the Brisbane city area. And already these supercell thunderstorms, like I said, the one that crossed over Texas, this is developing very quickly now. These supercell thunderstorms as well, they will upscale it later on, and as they move in towards southeast Queensland in the next 3 to 5 hours, we'll continue to see heavy rainfall, damaging winds, large hailstones, and all of the significant severe thunderstorm impacts that we are familiar with and have highlighted today for. This is the cluster of thunderstorms that is going to provide southeast Queensland, including Brisbane, with all of that action later tonight. And you can really see it over the last hour or so begin to develop. It's gone from just some isolated supercell activity to a big, interconnected, entwined supercell cluster of thunderstorms, massive amounts of thunderstorm activity and lots of lightning activity as well, and that is going to head straight into that Brisbane area. You can already start to see a bit of a line of a thunderstorm here beginning to develop, including a couple of embedded strong cells here, one on the way for Tenterfield. It also looks like one on the way for Stanthorpe, including a strong thunderstorm here that's getting itself going just to the south of Warwick, and a strong thunderstorm again moving just to the south of Clifton, but this one here looks like it's actually died off a little bit in the most recent satellite frames. Yamba, big thunderstorm, has just moved through that location as well, but kind of carked it just before getting into the Yamba area, and a good thunderstorm as well developing towards the north west of Grafton. Laurie Summers, thank you for becoming a channel sponsor. But yeah, it's beginning to ramp up for Brisbane and southeast Queensland. The threat is beginning to increase for these locations, and it is a substantial one at that. Just so much in the way of thunderstorm activity throughout the course of today. Just so much to get through, so much severe stuff that we've had to look through and talk about and really break down into great detail. More rain and winds in Esk. I would imagine that thunderstorm that's just moving towards moving into the Esk area right now. In fact, for Esk, I would say hunker down immediately. The rain is going to begin to pick up there very quickly, in fact, momentarily, and the hail will not be far behind, although it looks like the hail core of this thunderstorm is going to pass just to the south of Esk. But definitely in Esk, it is time to hunker down once again as another powerful supercell thunderstorm that moves through the Esk region. These thunderstorms up here now really beginning to upscale though, so they're going to begin to get a little bit weaker, but they will drop more rainfall, bring a lot more lightning, and some significant impacts are still a possibility. In terms of impacts now for the Sunshine Coast, the severe risk is really beginning to dwindle. But we are going to be looking at some pretty substantial severe thunderstorm chances as we head a little bit further south down into southeastern Queensland. And again, the supercell risk is not over. We have a developing severe thunderstorm here just outside of Pittsworth, and this is moving towards the Toowoomba area. So we're going to continue to see these severe thunderstorms continue in these regions. Noel Stewart, thank you for becoming a channel sponsor. Massively appreciated as well. But yeah, in fact, that supercell developing around the Toowoomba area, that actually deserves its own little update. So let's go and take a look at what we are seeing there on the Toowoomba radar. It really looks like it's starting to flex a bit of muscle, this Toowoomba thunderstorm outside of Pittsworth. Yeah, it's still a bit of a rotation couplet developing. It's not anything strong right now, but it is still a solid rotation couplet, and these rainfall accumulations as well really beginning to add up. Gatton has had 25 millimeters of rainfall. Again, a lot of that fell in a very quick period of time, about half an hour or so. And I believe our highest rainfall accumulations right now on this map are still below 50 millimeters. I know we have cracked the 50 millimeter mark. Dolby definitely has cracked the 50 millimeter mark, or outside of Dolby, O'Connor here 62 millimeters, and then Ford's Road, which copped that massive Clifford cell, has copped 59 millimeters of rainfall. And yeah, outside of Clifton, we've had some pretty significant rainfall accumulations as well. Very wet thunderstorms over the border into New South Wales. We've seen 84 millimeters at Grafton Airport, and most of that has also fallen over the last hour. If we have a look at those rainfall accumulations lately, we've had 65 millimeters at Pillar Valley in the last hour, with rainfall still falling there. The more widespread severe thunderstorm warning highlights the chance of very dangerous severe thunderstorms, including Emerald, Carnarvon National Park, parts of or areas south of Biloela, Taroom, Eidsvold, Guyanda, and then down towards Gympie, Kingaroy, and Dolby as well. Severe thunderstorms towards the north of Roma could also get very dangerous, and the chance of severe thunderstorms extending north towards Charters Towers and even into the lower Burdekin catchment as well. So plenty of activity to be shared around. It's still very, very potent, this outbreak. I mean, this is, if we were looking at this right now, we'd think, wow, what an absolute cracker of an outbreak. But we know what it was like before. It's definitely starting to die down a little bit, and the threat is now for multiple locations beginning to ease off. It's beginning to reduce a little bit, but that does not mean all clear. The threat is not an all clear yet for a lot of these locations. It is just beginning to dwindle down a little bit, which is good news. Very good news indeed, because I mean, even though the threat is dwindling, it is still extremely potent, and a lot of these thunderstorms still have large, potentially giant hailstones within them. So it continues to be a potent outbreak. ESC really in the thick of things now, and we're expecting ESC to continue to cop significant impacts. Yeah, very small cell passing over ESC. It doesn't look like giant hailstones falling in the ESC area, but we've definitely seen some large hailstones once again. I mean, ESC is probably going to look like a snowfield after all of these thunderstorms have gone through, like the amount of hail that's fallen there. That thunderstorm developing between Coomera up to the Logan City, Redland City sort of area, moving north towards Cleveland. It's got a brief period of heavy rainfall within it. That thunderstorm is this one right here. But again, nothing to be concerned about as it moves out towards the west over North Stradbroke Island. The Ipswich one is still holding strong. It's got some heavy falls within it as it also heads out towards the west. But again, it's probably not something I would be overly concerned about. It's not something I would be panicking over, but I would recommend, if you do live in the firing line, so that would include the Logan City area and also eventually the Redland City area, including Cleveland and then Manly as well. I would recommend putting the car inside and staying inside for the foreseeable future as this thunderstorm moves through, because it is still quite a strong one and it is packing a significant punch. Now, Killarney is the next place to watch. A significant thunderstorm is moving down there, so let's go and have a look at that over on the other radar from windy.com. We're now expecting some pretty significant conditions to move through the Killarney area, potentially a very dangerous severe thunderstorm near Killarney. Yeah, good spotting. We've definitely got a hook echo near the Killarney area as well. You can see that defined hook right now. Killarney being right here, Legume over the border into New South Wales. This is to the south of Warwick, which is up here. And then the risk zone for this severe thunderstorm moving off in this direction here. Large hailstones, potentially giant hailstones expected at both Killarney and Legume. So hunker down, get the car inside and stay inside your safe spot as this severe thunderstorm comes through. So yeah, Killarney, get inside now. This is a powerful severe thunderstorm, 15 minutes away, I would say, at a rough guesstimate. And we'll be looking at some pretty significant impacts through the Killarney area as this thunderstorm does move through, potentially large, if not giant, hailstones occurring there. And yeah, in terms of what's going on in the Ipswich area, it's just towards the north of Ipswich now in the Diagla National Park. We've got some pretty intense reflectivity readings here, 55 decibels. That would constitute small hailstones, and probably quite a lot of it, just considering the amount of lightning and the fact that it is looking pretty multicellular. Now, we will check back on the webcam, which is located where that X is, but the bulk of this rainfall, this heavy rainfall here, moving over the Greenbank area into the Logan City area, it will bypass just south of Brisbane. However, a 5-minute period of moderate to heavy rainfall is most certainly possible into the Brisbane area. So just have a look at that webcam right now. You can still see that shelf cloud moving through. Lots and lots of lightning activity, and we're going to continue to see that lightning activity develop. And it looks like we've got a bit of a corkscrew kind of shape developing here. Very difficult to see on the stream, but yeah, definitely a organized thunderstorm at that, moving into the Brisbane area, and a lot of lightning activity as well associated with this severe thunderstorm, and it's going to drop a lot of rainfall in a reasonably quick amount of time. And just checking back in on that Brisbane radar and pausing it on the latest Doppler frame. Whilst it doesn't look like the rotation is anything crazy in this thunderstorm, there definitely is a little bit of contrast in terms of the wind speeds away from the radar and towards the radar. There is a little bit of contrast in those wind speeds. But it is also kind of occurring along that wind direction line. So winds, of course, further towards the north are coming into the radar. These ones here going away from the radar. So a little bit difficult along this line where this cell is moving across to tell exactly if there is rotation coming through on this severe thunderstorm. Very interesting sight down in Killarney. I'm seeing a lot of red signals kind of maintained in the Doppler radar. Now, that's not unusual to see that. That could very well be a glitch, some of those reds that we're seeing in the Killarney area, but we definitely do have a rotating thunderstorm down there, and that hook echo all but confirms the fact that the Killarney one is a supercell. So that, again, a thunderstorm to watch. It could throw out some large hail, it could throw out some destructive winds, it could even throw down a tornado. We've been talking all day, the risk of a tornado is going to be there across Southeast Queensland, and we need to be ready for it if they do begin to develop. The chance, like I said, most certainly is there. Very, very significant day. I mean, it's just been such a long day it has for these severe thunderstorms. There's been so much of them. How about Caboolture? Well, Caboolture is going to see the kind of, I guess, fluffy remnants of the Esk thunderstorm as the Esk thunderstorm continues on its merry way up towards Kilcoy and Woodford. So we will definitely be seeing some increases in rainfall. You can see some heavier showers and a bit of lightning here that will then push into the Caboolture area. But we're not looking at anything too crazy moving into the Caboolture area. Not at this point in time. And I think the really bad stuff for Caboolture is either not going to come now, or it's not going to come for another couple of hours. I don't think it's going to happen up in Caboolture for at least another 2 hours or so until those big storms begin to upscale. So Caboolture not in the all clear just yet, but thunderstorms. I mean, we've got this Esk one here moving up here, and then this Brisbane one, which is moving across Brisbane. So it's likely to split somewhere in the middle here, and we will see a bit of a dry slot develop through this area. But then we're looking out for these thunderstorms that are beginning to be pushed up by this dry line as well. So you can actually see like all of this dry line here beginning to be pushed up along. And these thunderstorms, as they begin to move in towards southeastern Queensland as well and upscale, there's a lot of supercells within this kind of band of cloud through here. We'll be seeing these squall lines begin to move into the southeast Queensland area, and we could be seeing some potentially serious severe thunderstorm activity. Maddie, thank you so much for that very generous super chat donation. That's massively appreciated. We've had multiple videos come in as well. I've had literally thousands of messages of videos and photos of hail, so there's just no way that I can get through all of them. I'm going to do that tomorrow, fingers crossed, but yeah, we've had some pretty significant hail come through, particularly through parts of southeastern Queensland. Around the Clifton area, we've had some giant hailstones occur, and I've seen plenty of photos of just absolutely whopper hailstones that have caused all sorts of damage and problems in these areas. So there's still very much two distinctive parts to the outbreak that's ongoing across Queensland right now, and that is, of course, we've got our thunderstorms that are developing in these areas. I'm not sure why the radar isn't working right now. There it is. We've obviously got our upscaling squall line thunderstorms with a few supercells embedded, specifically the one towards the north of Taroom, and then the couple of thunderstorms that are turning into supercells down here, and of course the embedded supercell that's going through Esk. And then we've got all of our supercell activity developing down here, including this very suspicious looking storm around the Toowoomba area and another storm that's beginning to get itself going towards the south. But a huge swathe of thunderstorms that are developing towards the south of the New South Wales-Queensland border. And this is our stuff that is going to eventually push into the Southeast Queensland area. And that will eventually give us that upscaling of the rainfall and rain activity that's been promised throughout the course of today. So there's still a lot more to come, Southeast Queensland. Through Brisbane and the Gold Coast, it is going to get started soon. We've had two tasters of it. I mean, the one that's going through Ipswich right now is a bit of a taster. In terms of precipitation rates, though, 57 to 58 decibels. It's not insane. It's not anything too crazy in this part of the Brisbane area, but still likely some hailstones occurring. Pretty sporadic in nature, I would imagine. The further north you get, the closer to the high precipitation stuff we'll be looking at. But at this point in time, I don't think there's anything too crazy happening between Ipswich and Brisbane. On the northern side of the Brisbane River. That may pick up though. I mean, we're starting to see some increases in precipitation rates as this thunderstorm branches off towards the east and the eastern suburbs of Brisbane around the Redland City, and also on the northern side of the Logan City area may begin to see some heavier falls in the next 10 to 15 minutes or so. This isn't a thunderstorm that I'd be panicking about, but I would definitely be aiming to be inside, or if you are driving around, getting home as soon as possible and putting the car away, just to be safe than to be sorry. This is kind of one of those 50-50 cases where it could be a very strong thunderstorm or it could be an absolute nothing burger. So we want to be on the safe side. Looking at the current view of this thunderstorm though, I definitely reckon it is on that stronger side as it pushes in towards Queensland. I mean, you can see this is the Esk thunderstorm here. It's still very dark over there, but there is just a lot of very dark cloud, and whoa, look at that lightning that's coming through now. There's a lot of lightning activity, a lot of very dark cloud that's coming through. It is obviously quite a strong thunderstorm, but yeah, that is a prime example of this thunderstorm here. It's a lot of lightning activity as it pushes across towards. And I don't know if you can see, but we do have that bluey-green tinge up in the upper levels, so that's definitely a sign of some hailstones that are developing in this thunderstorm here. Look around the face cam. There is a little bit of that bluey-green stuff, and that would be a sign that hailstones are developing in this cell, which, given the precipitation rates, would be an absolute given right now. Substantial thunderstorm activity, and again, lots of that lightning activity that's moving through. It just continues to go. Thank you so much, Boundless Destinations, for those kind words, and a very generous tip as well. Over the border and towards the northern parts of New South Wales, Tamworth is a place to watch, as pointed out by the chat. 60 decibels through here. Large, potentially giant hailstones moving into the Tamworth area. This thunderstorm could be quite strong indeed. And if we just have a look at where this thunderstorm is moving, you can see it has just taken that little bit of that northerly jog. It looks like the thundercloud might be breathing in and out a little bit, so if this cell does begin to develop here, but Tamworth may thread the needle by the looks of things, and these thunderstorms here breaking off towards the north as well. Definitely looks like this is a weakening cell dot starting to meet up with that stable air that's sweeping up on the backside of this dry line. The more unstable stuff kind of stops it around here. But yeah, for Tamworth, definitely I would consider getting inside, hunkering down, and getting away from these thunderstorms. It could be quite a strong one, and some small hailstones and some pretty significant accumulations of hail is possible into the Tamworth area. And then a lot of thunderstorms, as you can see, are just marking those arrows right now, pushing into southeastern Queensland. Now they're about to jump the border. Any tornadoes? Not right now. And there's no need to panic either, Lily. If tornadoes do develop, they're going to be very isolated. There's nothing that we can do to, prevent the damage of a tornado coming through, because they happen so quickly and they come through so thick and fast. It's just, you can't stop them, but there's no need to be panicking about it because none have developed so far. We don't have confirmation of any developing, and until we have confirmation, we're not going to be calling any either. So there's no need to panic, and I appreciate that very generous donation as well. So thank you so much for that. But yeah. So yeah, no tornado warnings. We don't get tornado warnings in Australia like they do over in the United States. We just get told to watch out for them, and that's what we've been told to today. There are some significant tornado potential throughout the course of today. And then no update yet on the severe thunderstorm warning situation over through Southeast Queensland. Checking back in with the radar imagery, you can see that ESC system now beginning to weaken off, but more supercell activity. Like I said, it was going to develop out here towards the west of Toowoomba, and then it's going to meet up with these supercells that are coming over the New South Wales Queensland border, including this very strong one that's now moving up into the Warwick area. It's going to pass towards the east of Warwick, but it's still quite a strong one. These thunderstorms here are definitely cells that we need to be watching. Like I said, Killarney is going to be ground zero in the next few moments or so. So Killarney, I hope that everybody is safe, everybody is hunkered down. We've got that defined hook echo coming through, and for the Warwick area, you should be fine. You will still get some rainfall from this, but Killarney, you are in the thick of things, and you need to hunker down because giant hailstones could be on their way. Rapidly growing this Brisbane one, to be honest. Just to have a look at the latest imagery from the Brisbane one. Yeah, have a look at this. Have a look at that shelf cloud that's moving through and pushing through really quickly as well as it comes along this way. Yeah, very, very impressive. This is a significant shelf cloud that's moving through. This Brisbane cell here that's going to pass just to the south of the webcam, which is, as we've mentioned, up here. Yeah, there's quite a significant amount of thunder and lightning, not to mention the hail as well, that's just now moving south of Brisbane. This thunderstorm here may have some pretty large hailstones. We're definitely talking 3 centimetres in size, but maybe even 4 centimetres, particularly down into the Greenbank military area, but also just along the Brisbane River right now, the Brown Snake, and then eventually this will go on in towards Logan City and Camp Hill, and just around the airport as well, the Archerfield Airport, and then just through these areas, Woolloongabba eventually, and then, yeah, we'll be seeing this go into the eastern suburbs, or the Eastern Bay area, Moreton Bay area, around Brisbane. So, packing a punch. Not something to be overly worried about, though. I wouldn't be suggesting mass panic in regards to this thunderstorm that's moving through. But yeah, lots of lightning coming in, lots of rainfall. We may want to check the rotation on this thunderstorm. Really picking up a bit of intensity now, though. Nothing in the way of strong winds. It's blown over Archerfield, I believe. Archerfield had 10 mil. Oh, they've had about 3 mil right now. 28 kilometre an hour wind gusts. And yeah, it doesn't look like they've got much stronger. So again, these wind gusts aren't anything to be concerned about. But there is some pretty heavy rainfall in the vicinity of this thunderstorm here. Definitely some small hailstones now moving around the Mount Gravatt and into the Sunnybank and Logan area. And then in the next like 3 or 4 minutes or so, these thunderstorms are going to push into the Logan City area. And then in about 10 to 15 minutes time, you'll see them approach the shore around the Manly and the Cleveland area. And then 15 minutes away, Redland Bay. About 25-30 minutes away, we'll see them move in towards the North Stradbroke area, or North Stradbroke Island area. It doesn't look like it's getting any stronger, but it's definitely not getting any weaker. This Gold Coast storm is now pushing offshore. We will see another thunderstorm, which is moving over Canungra right now, move into the Nerang area in the next 5 minutes or so, and then eventually push on into the Gold Coast, or the northern parts of the Gold Coast. ESC cell is now really beginning to peter out. The rotation is now very weak on that, on the Doppler radar. Even that Toowoomba cell, like we need to keep a very close eye on that. That's a supercell thunderstorm with that hook echo. Looks like there's some good rotation as well in it. And we've even got that rotation. I mean, you can see, if we pause it on the latest frames here, you can see how we've got that very strong, like gusty red line moving through on the backside of this squall line that's coming through. And then ahead of the squall line, we've got these very strong winds that are pushing around in a different direction. So that's our rotating squall line. That's our rotating thunderstorms embedded in that squall line that's moving through this part of Queensland. And that's what our main risk has been throughout the course of today. Also, that strong, very strong storm around the Warwick area moving into the Killarney area. Geez, Warwick have threaded the needle today. They've gotten extremely lucky. Pittsworth, likely some large hail coming through in the next 5 to 10 minutes or so. So I'd keep a close eye on the situation down there. Readings of 50 decibels, probably closer to the small hailstones type stuff. Killarney, a lot of lightning, but we're definitely going to see these thunderstorms pick up in the Killarney area in the next 5 minutes or so. And then this thunderstorm out here, which is around the, outside of Lake Coolmunda, Warwick's over here. It looks like this thunderstorm is going to bypass Warwick, but it would not take much for this to move into the Warwick area. That's kind of the general path that this thunderstorm is on, and in terms of where the rainfall is going to be at its heaviest or where the hail is going to move through, it doesn't look like it's going to miss Warwick by much. So Warwick has had a lucky day today. They've missed the majority of these thunderstorms. They've missed the really nasty stuff, the big strong stuff. So yeah, I think we can... not yet, because we've also got all of this stuff behind, and once this gets over the border and meets those really favourable conditions, then yeah, still a lot going on. And I would just like to reiterate the fact that for Southeast Queensland, including Brisbane, the worst is when these severe thunderstorms get themselves over the border and over the ranges into the scenic rim, and we see these squall lines begin to develop and push up with those embedded supercell thunderstorms. So, in other words, the worst is still ahead of us for a few locations. And then this is the latest frame here from the Brisbane cam. See if we can see any lightning, but you can see, yeah, just that really thick black cloud that's moving through. It is a mean looking thunderstorm. That's a lot of lightning. Very bright lightning flashes. I mean, this is typical Queensland stuff. This is extremely bright lightning flashes. So yeah, beauty. Absolutely beautiful. Very, very nice. Oh, wow, that's a beautiful strike. Did everybody see that over there? And that is the stuff that we're looking at throughout the course of today. Beautiful, beautiful lightning strikes. And that's the main story for the Brisbane area right now. Gus Williams, great to see you again. Thank you so much for the very, very generous tip. I'm glad that you and a lot of other people as well appreciate the coverage that we're doing, or that I'm doing here. That's massively, massively appreciated. Killarney, imminent thunderstorm danger there. Looking a little bit further south, we're starting to see these big thunderstorms push over the border in towards southeastern Queensland, or southern Queensland around the Warwick area, and big thunderstorms are currently around the Tenterfield area as well, including a very strong one that's going to blow through just towards the southeast of Texas as well. So there's still a lot more going on here. Yeah, I mean, as we just saw on that screen, or on that stream, the Brisbane live stream, a lot of lightning and thunder through southeast Queensland, and it's just going to continue to increase as well. That massive cell that blew through Taroom is beginning to weaken off, but we're still seeing some solid thunderstorm activity around the Taroom area. But the all clear can be said for the Taroom area right now. There is some supercell activity just towards the south of Taroom, but it is on a trajectory to miss the town and get a lot of these stations here just in that eastern quadrant of, or eastern half of that radar station. Precipitation rates are now beginning to ease off a little bit through the Brisbane thunderstorm, but I feel like that may be because we have the we've got a little bit of rain over the radar right now. So this is the radar center here, and you can see rates are beginning to ease off a little bit, but we're still seeing these significant thunderstorms moving through, lots of lightning activity. But yeah, I'd say that this thunderstorm here that's moving across the Brisbane area is beginning to ease off. And LCPL Cat, thank you so much for that generous donation as well. And it's great to see you again. It's great to see the both of you again. So thank you so much. Bayside suburbs of Brisbane, yeah, it is starting to move in towards the Manly area and around the Wyam area as well. And the rain is just going to continue to pick up in those areas very shortly too. So we're going to continue to see an increase in precipitation for those areas. But in terms of these thunderstorms being dangerous, they're definitely not on the dangerous side. They still have quite a lot of punch in them, but they're not as strong as what they have been, particularly earlier on in the day. I think that ESC thunderstorm is going to get downgraded substantially. But yeah, I mean, 8 centimetre hailstones, 9 centimetre hailstones, and unofficial reports to 10 centimetres is just ludicrous what we've seen today across Southeast Queensland. It's just unimaginable. A lot of these places that have had these thunderstorms today in a significant capacity, they will take a long time to recover, particularly farmers who would have suffered pretty substantial stock losses as a result of these severe thunderstorms moving through. It's truly heartbreaking to see. Boonah, just a little bit of rain. Yeah, Boonah, Beaudesert's had about 10 millimetres so far. Yeah, 9 millimetres down there. A couple of strong wind gusts as well, I believe. Not on this observation centre apparently, but we have had some strong winds around the Boonah and the Beaudesert area. And again, with this thunderstorm here around the Killarney area, which is now moving into the it's moving over Killarney right now, so that hail will now be a diminishing threat for Killarney. And then across towards Oakington, this will then eventually go for Boonah and maybe even Beaudesert up towards Harrisville. So the risk areas for this thunderstorm here will eventually include Harrisville and potentially Ipswich. And it also looks like we're starting to see some thunderstorm activity developing on its eastern flank as well, which is the sign of these thunderstorms upscaling. Oh, Gus Williams again, thank you for that massive, massive donation. That is extremely, extremely kind of you. Yeah, extremely, just very, very widespread thunderstorm activity still moving through Southeast Queensland. The S thunderstorm is now beginning to ease off as well, and it also looks like we are able to confirm that the rainfall rates in the Brisbane area are beginning to ease off, and that means that further towards the Bayside suburbs as well, the rainfall rates are going to continue to ease off in those areas too. So whilst we will see maybe 5 to 15 millimetres of rainfall through some of those locations, it's not likely to be anything too crazy or ridiculous. I'm just checking back in on this Brisbane camera as well. It will be pretty dark now. Yeah, not much that we can see, so we will just be looking at this, seeing the lightning coming through. Looks like it's calmed down a little bit actually, and if we cross-reference that back up with the radar, there's no new fresh lightning strikes as of late. So this is a cell that is now beginning to leave us. It's on our way out. Bit of lightning down into the Bayside suburbs, but yeah, definitely beginning to ease off. LCPL Cat, that is extremely generous. Both you and Gus Williams, very generous. So thank you so much for watching and the donations as well. But thank you to everybody that's watching and all of the support as of late. But these thunderstorms, they're not resting. So we're going to continue with our live coverage. If you haven't already, then please do consider subscribing and also leave a like on the stream whilst you're at it. So radar is a little bit behind right now, actually, interestingly enough. Killarney, it would have just been a pretty brief kind of downpour, maybe a bit of hail in the Killarney area as this thunderstorm moved through. But yeah, now it looks like it is going to go for the Boonah area, or potentially off towards Coralbin. Rathdowney doesn't look like it's going to get anything. Even Beaudesert would be a bit of a stretch right now to see anything significant. Wollongong, Urbanville as well, also not likely to see anything too significant. And Warwick is threading the needle between these two severe thunderstorms, with one of them, as you can see over here as well. So, and just speaking of that thunderstorm actually, so this is one that's crossed over Texas. This one had quite a bit of bite to it about an hour ago, but it is now easing off as well. Looks like these thunderstorms are now properly beginning to upscale as well. They've still got some large hailstones in them, don't get me wrong, and this one here on the New South Wales side of things outside of Deepwater has potentially giant hailstones in it, 65 decibels coming back here. That's some very, very big rocks coming down from the sky. Yeah, even that Grafton storm as well is now beginning to ease off and upscale. So looks like the general trend now is that these storms are going to begin to upscale as they move towards the southeast corners of Queensland, but severe thunderstorms and the threat for severe thunderstorms is going to continue for the time being. Yeah, so much lightning through these active thunderstorms. The thunderstorms that are active in producing all of this lightning activity, there is certainly no shortage of it, that's for sure. And this Killarney storm here outside of Warwick is throwing out a lot of lightning, which is coming into the Yangon area right now. In terms of the heaviest precipitation rate, still 64 decibels swathes of 60, so it's still likely dropping large, potentially giant hailstones. Do we have an update? We do. So all of the severe thunderstorms have been cancelled for the Brisbane, Logan, Ipswich, Gold Coast, Redland, Moreton Bay, Somerset, Lockyer Valley, and Sunshine Coast forecast districts. We do have that strong storm, of course, moving north now into the Gympie forecast district, bypassing Gympie though. But now we're looking at these strong thunderstorms that are developing in the New South Wales side of things, including that Killarney one, which I'm surprised isn't very dangerous, severe warned. And no update to the impacts that we're seeing from these thunderstorms. But yeah, now moving up into the Fraser coastline area, we're beginning to see thunderstorms up there. But these are our 2 Queensland severe thunderstorms here, and multiple other severe thunderstorms into the northeast of New South Wales, likely going severe warned as well, because they do have lots and lots of hail, and potentially some other nasties embedded within them as well. So we will keep close tabs on those. But just for now, let's head up and have a look at what we're looking at in the Sunshine Coast. So this is our other severe warned thunderstorm on that detailed map here, which is moving towards the north of Gympie. It's actually bypassing Gympie. So Tyro in the next kind of 15-25 minutes or so. Guyanda as well right now, and then eventually on towards Mount Perry. Childers will also likely see a thunderstorm in the next 30 to 45 minutes or so. Bundaberg in about 2 hours, I would say. Eidsvold beginning to build now, but definitely beginning to ramp up in the next 15 minutes or so. Theodore in the next 15 minutes as well, as this very strong Taroom thunderstorm, whilst it is on its way out, remains strong enough to really hold on. And there may be a round 2 as well through parts of, south of Taroom, where we had those 8cm hailstones reported. 9cm hail is the largest it's got to today around the Clifton area. Well, at Pratton, just towards the southwest of Clifton, they would have been absolutely devastated by those hailstones. And that was, yeah, truly a difficult thing to track, that's for sure, because those hailstones were just so large. And I mean, as someone who knows obviously quite a bit about those hailstones and like what the different sizes of hailstones mean for certain locations, watching that unfold, watching that warning come in was just devastating to see. It was truly, truly quite sad. Yeah, so big day. But again, it looks like things are beginning to calm down, particularly further north along the Sunshine Coast. And for locations north of the line that I'm about to draw now, so this would include Noosa and especially Gympie, what's happening now is about as bad as it's going to get. It's going to ease off in about an hour's time for these locations. So yeah, we're looking at Brisbane as being a potential hotspot for severe thunderstorms, squall lines and embedded supercells later on. But yeah, sort of anywhere towards the north of where these lines kind of intersect is where thunderstorms are at their worst right now and are going to begin to ease off with very little activity expected behind. I mean, we can see all this area here, very limited activity. Maddie, thank you for becoming a channel sponsor as well. No, I haven't studied meteorology at all. Unqualified. Come on. The qualifications are the accuracy of the forecasts that I produce. Yeah, moderators will be coming next stream. Figure that out. I'm new to the streaming game, so yeah. Just got to keep an eye on all of these storms down here. It is like watching paint dry because there is big stakes, especially for these thunderstorms like the one around the Killarney area and also the one around the Warwick area as well. Caleb, thank you for becoming a channel sponsor. A lot of these thunderstorms around the northeast of New South Wales are quite strong. Even the one outside of Ballina and Lismore right now, or moving through the Lismore area. If we go and have a look at this one here, it's going to bypass Lismore towards the east, but we've likely got some small hailstones here moving in towards Alstonville, and then that'll eventually go on towards Byron Bay, I would imagine. Yeah, so the trajectory of this thunderstorm here would take it right over Byron Bay, and we may see some small hailstones into the Byron Bay area as well, at least some very heavy precipitation. No shortage of storms, that is for sure. up in Hervey Bay, they are on notice for some pretty strong, significant squall lines in the next 2 hours or so. Not anything too crazy or out of the ordinary, but we will be looking at maybe some small hailstones by the time they get up towards Hervey Bay. But yeah, in the next kind of hour and a half, so about 90 minutes or so. And Lauren Gibson, thank you for your kind words and that generous donation as well. Bit of a cell as well towards the south of Caloundra, and this is the stuff that we kind of have to be, on our toes about. It's moving out to sea right now, but it may increase briefly the amount of rainfall in the Caloundra area in the next 10 minutes or so, and it could also drop some small hailstones too. This is the remnants of the Esk one down here, and as that goes towards Woodford, we may also see some small hailstones. Kilcoy will miss it, but that thunderstorm around the Esk area very much on its way out, but we may, like I said, still see some small hailstones in a few areas. Tyro 15 minutes north of Glenwood. Yeah, so Glenwood, if that's getting hit now, Tyro about 15-20 minutes from now. Mitzi, thank you for becoming a channel sponsor, and thank you to everybody who has become a channel sponsor as well. Precipitation rates through Brisbane are pretty minimal, to say the least. There's really not much in the way of seriously strong stuff into the Brisbane area. But again, a nice drop in the Brisbane. They're up to 15 millimeters now. They've had some strong wind gusts. And again, just looking at the camera, they've also had some really impressive lightning displays too. So it's all in all been very good, these thunderstorms. We'll see if we can see any more lightning now, but it also looks like this thunderstorm is beginning to fall apart. It's definitely on its last legs, and we're going to see that thunderstorm slowly weaken off very soon. Yeah, quiet in Brisbane, North Brisbane. A few strikes still here and there, but nothing special going on. Don't worry, it's all happening a little bit further south. We've got this cluster of thunderstorms now beginning to move through, including 2 strong severe warned thunderstorms, one of which looks like a strong supercell. Another one was a supercell. It could also be a strong supercell. And a third cell down here moving up towards Wollongong that also could pack a little punch. Nothing too much, but it could do. So we've definitely got our work cut out for us, and storms are going to continue to fire up and move into these areas in the coming couple of hours. Now, of course, if you haven't already, please do consider subscribing to the channel for further coverage and for more updates on severe thunderstorms, because, I mean, of course, with the feedback and the reception of this live coverage over the last couple of days, we'll be running live coverage on pretty much every nasty severe thunderstorm outbreak from this point onwards, particularly through Queensland. Anything coming for Bundaberg, well, your dome is turned on to the max. They had a good storm last night up in Bundaberg, but as we can see here, the severe thunderstorms, as they continue to push further north, they are going to slowly weaken off, and it already looks like they might be beginning to split apart here. And even the thunderstorm that was looking like it was going to go for Bundaberg, because these ones are going to go in this direction here, the Idasold ones, and then the Goomeri, Gympie ones are going to head towards Hervey Bay. Bundaberg may be kind of in this little dry slot here that's going to miss out on the strongest thunderstorm activity, but there is definitely the chance of some thunderstorms around the Bundaberg area in the next 2 hours or 2 to 3 hours or so, but not a high chance, and I don't think we'll see anything severe or crazy in the Bundaberg area either, so I would keep our expectations rather low in the Bundaberg region. So I've just cited something from Central Queensland weather. There is a storm that has been suspected of producing a tornado. Looking at the damage right now, I can't show any of these pictures on the stream just because they're not for media use. We've had snapped trees left, right and centre. The damage would constitute a tornado because of it is quite significant, and I'm not calling a tornado right now. I'm not saying that a tornado has occurred because we just don't have that confirmation yet. We don't have a photo of it, and that's my only criterion for calling a tornado, is if I see an actual, not AI-generated photo of it. But just looking at it, there is some pretty substantial tree damage. The branches are all snapped off pretty cleanly. So, yeah, we may have seen one. This is out towards Central Queensland, by the way, so this is in this area here, Wandoan. Taroom being out here. We had a massive supercell thunderstorm kind of track in this area, and that dropped all sorts of nasty impacts. Adam Kane, thank you for that generous tip as well. In terms of what Toowoomba will get, I think the risk for Toowoomba is pretty much over. Those severe thunderstorms that were looking pretty potent towards the west of Toowoomba have completely carked it by the looks of things, and the thunderstorm activity that's beginning to get itself going is very quickly upscaling. It's also going to move, by the looks of things, towards the east of Toowoomba. So once I see a little bit more confirmation of these thunderstorms here south of Clifton around the Warwick area, where they're going, Warwick could actually be in the mix of some hailstones pretty soon, then I'm going to call the all clear for Toowoomba. But right now it's looking like Toowoomba, at least the risk in Toowoomba, is beginning to diminish. It's beginning to die off a little bit. And hopefully that is a trend that continues. The risk for a lot of these places is now beginning to die off. The only place that still remains a very high risk is the areas that is expecting those upscaled squall activities and potential supercell thunderstorms later tonight embedded in those squalls, particularly around the areas where that smaller circle is. That would include the southern areas of Brisbane and inland from the Gold Coast. So that's where that risk area is for the Brisbane area. And again, it's not like it's a crazy risk or a high risk at this point in time. I would say that the forecast right now for the Brisbane area, just looking at some of these thunderstorms, may have been a little bit aggressive. Conditions are still really good for severe thunderstorms, but in terms of the comparison to what we're drawing to this, what happened earlier today, from these severe thunderstorms, it's not really a fair comparison. These storms are still very powerful, and some of them are in fact dangerous, dropping some giant hailstones, but they've got nothing on what happened earlier today. So Brisbane is still likely to get some pretty nasty stuff later tonight, or at least some areas around Brisbane are still likely to see some pretty nasty stuff. But in comparison to what we were seeing earlier today, I think the risk is relatively minimal, which is good news. So we'd be happy to see that, that's for sure, if the risk does begin to diminish around that Brisbane area. But I would also like to say that we shouldn't be holding our breath for anything like that. Chances are still very much there for significant severe thunderstorms into the Brisbane area. Yeah, so definitely slow down a little bit into the Brisbane area, but the risk is still, as mentioned, very much there. And as these thunderstorms just continue to develop as well, like we've got maturing thunderstorm activity, including that strong cell around the Killarney area, which is throwing out a lot of lightning right now, which is a sign that it is continuing to develop as well as this thunderstorm that's towards the west of Warwick. It looks like it is struggling a little bit, but it is still rather strong. Alex, does this event show what is ahead for summer? Well, it gives us an idea. The thunderstorms so far this year in Southeast Queensland have been pretty impressive when they've developed. I mean, we've had a lot of good thunderstorm outlooks where nothing has developed, so it's been a pretty tough year as a forecaster. The conditions have been very much hit or miss, and again today, some of the conditions were a little bit hit or miss, particularly around the Gold Coast area, and I think it's going to end up being a little bit more of a miss for the Gold Coast. But yeah, how do these stack for the summer outlook? Looking pretty healthy. I mean, we're in peak months of storm season now. November is going to be busy. December could also be busy as well, and early January could also be quite busy. We've also got thunderstorms coming through tomorrow across Southeast Queensland, and potentially some pretty significant ones as well at that. So another long day of tracking as well through parts of southeastern Queensland, and especially up the Sunshine Coast into the Fraser Coast as well. There is some pretty substantial thunderstorm potential. Nothing like today, but we may be seeing some strong thunderstorm activity. Again, just looking at some of the convective soundings for tomorrow. Big dry slot, not as sheared, so supercells are going to be a bit of a hard sell, but Gympie and towards the northwest, very much possible. And again, down in towards southeastern Queensland, Brisbane area as well, also a possibility. Still some pretty intense precipitation around this Killarney cell here, and it looks like it's moving kind of towards the north. So Boonah will miss the worst of it. Harrisville could cop it, and then it's not much of a jump for it to get towards Ipswich. So Killarney, that cell is a bit of a pain to track, but could spell some interesting things around the Brisbane area. Potentially dangerous situation for the Brisbane area tonight. It's a difficult forecast now. I don't think we're going to see dangerous thunderstorms into the Brisbane area. The risk of tornadoes now also looks to be pretty minimal, considering there's a lot of stability now beginning to push in by the looks of things as these thunderstorms continue to upscale. And the fact that we're seeing like supercells like the ones out here around the Toowoomba area, like they blew up and they looked like they were going to go big, but they just didn't make it. So yeah, I don't think embedded supercells in these squall lines that will then push into the Brisbane area later tonight are actually going to be too much of a concern anymore, which drops the risks of tornadoes into the Brisbane and the Gold Coast area. So what I personally think for tonight is we're going to see these thunderstorms push through in a pretty violent squall line. Damaging winds very much expected to occur. Some heavy rainfall as well for a brief period of time. But in terms of really nasty stuff coming in, I don't think it is that likely anymore to occur, which is great news. So, very, very good news indeed. Makes me, well, yeah, I mean, extremely happy to be able to report on that. See if we've got an update here. Jeez. A lot of lightning in these areas. Looks like Texas is going to be in the firing line once again. To be honest, like these thunderstorms are still going strong, and if they can continue, with this intensity and with this kind of ferocious kind of behavior, once they get themselves over the border in towards Queensland and they upscale, who knows, we may be talking about something relatively significant into the Brisbane area. So yeah, a bit of a hard sell right now. Quite a lot of things are going to... Quite a lot of things need to be ironed out. We just need these thunderstorms to, get themselves over and towards southern Queensland, really see what they're going to do, see what's going to develop before we can make some big predictions. This is a look at our Brisbane webcam. Still dark, not a very stormy picture either. Well, it's pitch black now. It's not a very stormy picture. There's not much in the way of lightning either. And even right over the back, there is a little bit of lightning. You can see kind of in this area here, we've got a bit of a thunderstorm going on. I believe also over here would be a bit of a spot to watch too. Just cross-referencing that back with the radar. Yeah, so that's looking at the Killarney storm down here. So a lot of lightning now beginning to push into this area here, which is heading straight for the Harrisville area. And then that'll eventually carry on into the Brisbane city area as well. But yeah, I don't think it's too much of a concern, that Killarney cell, anymore. It's definitely packing some hail, but it's going to move over these mountains. The cloud base is going to get all mixed up with these mountains, and it's likely to come out pretty weak as it moves into the Aratula area around Mugera. And then by the time it gets up towards Boonah and Harrisville, it could be a lot weaker. But again, we still have a lot of plains area here, like a lot of flat ground in this part of Queensland. And thunderstorms love this flat ground. Once they get themselves sweeping down into these plains and into the Brisbane area, they can really go nuts. And that's what drove the Gap storm as well. So and I mean, these storms still very much holding strong on the New South Wales side of things. If we have a look at the warnings across New South Wales, we have severe storm warnings for potentially giant hailstones still down there, which means supercell thunderstorms. 70 mil at Grafton in 30 minutes, 6 to 7 centimetre hailstones at North Dorrigo. We knew that would drop some big hailstones. 70 millimetre or 60 millimetres at Glen Ray in 30 minutes. 5 to 6 centimetre hailstones at Emmaville. Yeah, so big thunderstorms. Still some pretty big thunderstorms occurring down there. And this one here, the one outside of Deepwater, is warned as being potentially dangerous because it is dropping some pretty substantial hailstones, which bodes well for those looking for severe thunderstorm activity in southern Queensland tonight. But it's got a hell of a journey to get up there. It's got a long trip to get up in towards southeast Queensland and drop significant hailstones. So, yeah, the chances are not overly extreme right now. Possible, but like I said, not extreme. But it is something that we will have to keep monitoring, keep tabs on, keep our eyes peeled as we track these severe thunderstorms that are coming through. Some of them are still, like I said, very, very dangerous weather events and do mean business and can cause some pretty significant impacts and some pretty significant devastation to property, to homes. So make sure we are taking them very, very seriously as they blow through. Yeah, that Killarney one's still very, very strong and potent indeed. Yeah, multicellular storm here outside of Warwick. In terms of what we could be looking at for the Warwick area, just rolling this radar imagery back and forward, it looks like it's all going to bypass Warwick. It's probably just spitting in the Warwick area right now, but for the most part, this thunderstorm is going to bypass the Warwick area. And even Toowoomba, it doesn't look like Toowoomba is going to see anything from this severe thunderstorm either. In Pratton, got a viewer from Pratton. How was that hail earlier? The 9 centimetre stuff. Yeah, Clifton round 4. Yeah. Likely some smaller hailstones in here. Like, it's probably 3 to 4 centimetres tops. It's not crazy. It's still large. Like, it's on a regular day we'd be covering this live. It's just, in comparison to what else that we've seen today, it's a drop in the ocean. It is. It's really not significant at all. Clifton have just had, they've copped it today, they have. And yeah, just clusters of thunderstorms down here. It looks like they're beginning to start the early processes of upscaling, and even now we're starting to see this line of thunderstorms, which is tracking off in this general direction here. And if that can all kind of, come together, probably about 2 hours away for this major chance in the Brisbane city area. Cannonballs earlier, yeah, well, I mean, that's what came through the Clifton area is cannonballs. There's no other way to accurately describe it apart from, like I said, those cannonballs. They were boulders falling from the sky. I saw them on Facebook. It was just ridiculous what was coming down. Absolutely ridiculous. As predicted, north of Caboolture up to Caloundra, this cell is throwing out a little bit of hail by the looks of things. So a lot of lightning towards the north here of Brisbane on the northern edge of Bribie Island. Clipping Caloundra, you may see some small hailstones in the Caloundra area. And even if this storm does begin to head closer towards the north, I don't think too much is going to happen in Caloundra. Definitely nothing in the Maroochydore area. Looks like it's pretty stationary, to be honest. It may be a radar glitch, or it could be... We haven't seen the radar here to update in a hot second. No update on the storms in New South Wales. No update for Southeast Queensland either. We'll be looking probably another 20 minutes or so. Just a busy, busy day. So Brisbane forecast, still talking about severe thunderstorm chances. And then also severe thunderstorm chances tomorrow afternoon and evening as well. So, yeah. It's going to continue. You can see this storm here, the Killarney storm is upscaling. Now moving over Oakington. Now, for those towards the west of Boonah, you want to be watching this situation very, very closely. So this is Aratula, pretty much everywhere up towards Thornton, and then across towards Boonah, and probably including Boonah as well, I would like to say. Boonah inclusive. Watch out for potentially severe, dangerous thunderstorms that are coming through. And then this will, in about half an hour, potentially include the Harrisville area as well. But yeah, definitely Aratula, Mugera. Boonah is a bit of it's a 50-50 case. Thornton as well, a bit of a 50-50 case. Gatton and Laidley likely to miss out on this thunderstorm. They've had their fair share today, but we may be seeing something from this thunderstorm activity if it can make it up towards the Gatton or the Laidley area. Chances of that happening aren't exactly high at this point in time, though. Well, Ipswich, the fun hasn't even started yet. That Kalani cell is still throwing out a lot of lightning. So again, we're looking in this area here on the webcam. It's still throwing out a lot of lightning activity. You can see it very, very frequently occurring. Might just have to update that to there. But yeah, very frequently occurring still. Just constantly flickering in the background. So it's a sign that this cell is still looking quite strong. I probably wouldn't call it a very dangerous cell though. Doppler wind shows a very nice rotation couplet though. Looks like that rotation couplet is going to head somewhere between Harrisville and Mulgoe. Maybe a storm to worth watching. Thanks, Cam's Fishing Addiction, and thank you for tuning in as well. Make sure all of that Bundaberg gets finished. Yeah, in terms of last 1 hour rainfall accumulations, we've just had a big yellow spike here in Barangarok, which is again towards the west of Warwick, and that places it as one of the wettest places so far today in Queensland. Yeah, just behind Fords Road. So that is from that thunderstorm that's moving through right now. So this one dropped 50 millimeters in probably less than, or a lot less than an hour, probably about 20-30 minutes or so. So locally intense rainfall still going on. Whereabouts are you, Shira, with that wind that's coming through? Still, these storms are isolated enough as to where they're not like upscaling just yet. Yeah, so Brisbane, or South Brisbane, is still looking at thunderstorms. The chance is going to continue over the next 3 hours or so, until it does begin to peter out at about 10 o'clock tonight. So it's not a fizzer yet. We call it a fizzer when no thunderstorms fire up in that area, but there are storms on the way. Look towards your south. Cluster of storms beginning to develop, or beginning to upscale here. We've also got this storm here moving up towards Byron Bay, which is holding on. But yeah, now all of this thunderstorm activity beginning to push further towards the coast. And I would like to say now that for locations north of Maroochydore up to about Rainbow Beach and Gympie in this corridor, conditions are beginning to ease off, and it looks like thunderstorm activity is going to begin to reduce in chances. And also for locations further south of the line that I'm drawing right now. So this would include Gympie, Goomeri, Guyanda, Proston, Eidsvold, Taroom, a few strong cells still embedded here and there, particularly out towards Central Queensland, but chances are now beginning to dwindle for those locations as well. That lightning, or that storm here outside of Caloundra, throwing out a lot of lightning now. So it's a developing cell, but it is moving offshore in that direction there. May throw out some hailstones for Caloundra, who knows? May throw some hailstones. It's definitely throwing out an awful lot of lightning though, so good to see. Be a cracker light show there, that's for sure. If you haven't already, please do consider subscribing for more coverage on these severe thunderstorms going forward into storm season. Our peak months still lying ahead, so never been a better time to get on board here. But yeah, now as we start to see these thunderstorms pushing into the Brisbane area, this Kalani cell, which I'm now going to probably rename to the Boona cell, it's still throwing out some big hailstones. We'd be talking 4 centimeters plus here, I reckon. Yeah, definitely 4 centimeters plus here. This is a thunderstorm that I'm very keen to see what BOM says in their next update. Moving into the Boona area, it's through the Scenic Rim, but this Scenic Rim cell, it's strong. It is quite strong indeed. And again, if we just have a look at the Doppler radar here, you can see on the latest frames there is some pretty solid rotation in this cell as it heads up between Harrisville and Mulgoey, bypassing Warwick completely, but some strong wind gusts as that rainfall begins to build around the Warwick area. We'll likely see an uptick in rainfall and wind in the Warwick area pretty soon. It's very gusty across southeast Queensland still as well. Lots of wind gusts here around 40 to 60 kilometres an hour, even between these thunderstorms, so winds are still quite strong in these areas. Yeah, already some good rainfall accumulations. You can see where these thunderstorms have been, including that true monster of a cell that developed north of Warwick and then headed up in this area here and made it all the way up to Maroochydore, where it finally carked it about 4 hours later. We also had that Ipswich cell as well, dropped a good drop here and there. And now that Killarney cell that's moving through, including those cells across southern Queensland and northern New South Wales as well. So a lot of thunderstorms today, and there's still more coming. Let's just check back in on the Doppler and see what we're looking at here outside of Urbanville. Nothing too interesting. Lizzie Bentley, thank you for that generous donation. So sometimes when we look at thunderstorms, we notice that they're weakening. They could be just pulsing in and out. Thunderstorms on the radar especially have a habit of just breathing in and out. So sometimes they swap between frames. They look a bit more intense. They look a bit weaker. And then we look to see if there's rain actually over the radar station itself, which right now there isn't. So the thunderstorm could be breathing in or out, pulsing a little bit. But over the radar station, there's nothing in the way of significantly severe stuff. So it's not down to radar being blocked or radar signals being blocked. But yeah, it's still a good point, and it's still something we do monitor. But yeah, these thunderstorms I don't think they're weakening. This thunderstorm here outside of Killarney, the Boona storm, doesn't look like it's weakening. And again, throwing out a lot of lightning, and especially looking at this imagery here, you can see that thunderstorm here looking very organized. We've got that stratus bank in the mid-levels, which you can see when this lightning flashes. And there is just a lot of lightning. It's constant on this webcam here from the Brisbane Weather Live channel. Going to be my go-to spot for further webcam footage, the Brisbane Weather channel. Caitlin Hindley, thank you for that generous tip. And yeah, we've still got that strong cell as well towards the southeast of Wollongong. That's throwing out some good hail as well. Towards the west of the east of Deepwater, we've got some hailstones likely in this one here, but again, beginning to weaken off too. And a lot of lightning in these cells here around this part of New South Wales, now approaching the Queensland border. But none of them are standing out to me as being particularly severe or particularly concerning right now. So I don't think we should be worried about those storms, but they are now on the way up in towards Queensland. And what we're going to see is just gust fronts moving through, pushing those thunderstorms along and bringing in that strong winds, heavy rainfall stuff that we've been talking about over the last couple of days. But in terms of what we're expecting compared to the forecast, I'm going to go out and say for Brisbane and the Gold Coast, we can probably safely assume that it's going to be better than what the forecast suggested, because these thunderstorms are now coming through quite a bit later than expected as well. There's less energy in the environment for these storms to make the most of. So I genuinely think for the Brisbane and the Gold Coast area, we're likely looking at these thunderstorms being a little bit weaker compared to what we were looking at on the forecast models just a few days ago. Now, that is very good news indeed. Still severe thunderstorms expected, but substantially weaker than what we did initially expect, which again, really good news. Below 60 decibels, which is below the large hail threshold now outside of Killarney. I think this storm is just breathing, but we'll wait for another frame to see what's going on here, because we've still got this strong one here outside of Kyogle, 62 decibels. And the Caloundra one as well now pushing offshore. Now moving up into Tyro, we've got that thunderstorm moving through. Strong winds would be developing in the Maryborough area. In about 15 minutes, we're going to have a thunderstorm imminent in the Maryborough area, and then up about 30 to 35 minutes into the Hervey Bay region. 45 minutes to an hour for Bundaberg. Agnes Water and Gladstone, a bit of a stretch as to whether or not they're going to see thunderstorm activity right now, but still some strong organised thunderstorms holding strong outside of Theodore in central Queensland. I believe this is cattle country as well out here, and a very powerful thunderstorm outside of Wundoon as well, around Taroom. That is an extremely powerful thunderstorm there. Still no update from BOM. Imagine that will not be far away. And yeah, you can see that storm now moving into the northern parts of the Sunshine Coast here. Very strong winds pushing through. You can see they're well into the red. So we're looking at gusts here well in excess of 90 to 100 kilometers an hour, probably even stronger than that. Gusts could be up around the 120 kilometer an hour mark. Gympie picked up a gust of 72 kilometers an hour, and they weren't even in the worst part of this storm here. In fact, winds were actually pretty weak in the Gympie area. So through Tyro, we could have been looking at wind gusts approaching the, like I said, that 110, 125 kilometer an hour mark. Be interesting to see what we're looking at for Maryborough, but the worst of it looks like it's going to pass just to the southeast there. But yeah, the threat really does feel like it's diminishing now across southeast Queensland, but we will see, I mean, we're already beginning to see these thunderstorms upscaling along this line here. In fact, you can really begin to see it, similar to what we're seeing on the Sunshine Coast, but in a bit of a smaller capacity. These storms here still embedded supercells, but they're now beginning to push into the scenic rim, and that's where upscaling is expected to occur very soon. Big thunderstorms, big lightning occurring as well. As you can see all through here, big lightning. Now looks like these storms are now beginning to become multicellular as well. So we're seeing these thunderstorms ease off a little bit in terms of severity, but still quite strong. Emerald, wow, look at this one here. A lot of lightning moving into the Emerald area as well, and it looks like Emerald is going to cop a direct hit from a slow-moving, powerful, potentially supercellular thunderstorm. Just go and check on that Emerald radar real quick. Yeah, wow, very strong winds pushing through into the Emerald area. Gusts to 100 kilometers an hour. That is a very strong severe thunderstorm. And that was when winds were, yeah, so gusts right now into the Emerald area, 50, well, sustained winds 50 kilometers an hour, gusts to 100. Pretty significant stuff. Now beginning to see this storm here move onto the high-resolution 64-kilometer radar into southeast Queensland. Very strong winds within it as well. I mean, all of these squally gusts are now going to have some pretty strong winds embedded within. And in terms of rotation in any of these thunderstorms, whilst we still have some pretty strong rotation in that Killarney one, as you can see now outside of the Mount Mistake area, let's just zoom in on that here. Mount Mistake is, I believe, just through here. So there is definitely some strong rotation, and as we thought, this is just a breathing thunderstorm. It's pulsing in and out, 63 decibels still, so likely still some large hailstones in it. We've got that rotation coming in this area here as this thunderstorm moves off in that direction. So this is still a supercell thunderstorm, and we're beginning to see this get absorbed into this line of thunderstorms that's going to begin to develop as well. So conditions will deteriorate soon for some suburbs in southeast Queensland, including Harrisville. Boonah, the rain is going to start soon. I imagine it's pretty loud there with a lot of lightning activity. Harrisville about 10 minutes away, I would say. Still some strong cells here over the border into the north of New South Wales. 60 decibels. But yeah, you can really see that these storms are now beginning to all converge together. And this is the start of that multicellular, large, severe thunderstorm outbreak that we're going to continue to see. So, yeah, and just having a look at the Facebook to see if we're seeing anything come through. Nothing just yet. But yeah, we've had some pretty substantial reports today. I mean, the largest hailstones so far, 9 centimeters large, so, or 10 centimeters actually, unofficial 10 centimeter report. But that hailstone is very close to 10 centimeters, so I'm going to take the photo there, interpret it at 10 centimeters. That is giant hailstones. We've had some of the largest hailstones I've ever tracked in thunderstorms. Yeah, not far away from Boona. I imagine it's going to get quite gusty there pretty soon. The worst of this storm, though, is going to pass in this area here, in this line, so impacting over towards Harrisville, but you will still see a brief period of heavy rainfall in about 5 to 8 minutes' time into the Boona area. Imagine it would just be starting to spit, but we've got some pretty good lightning developing here, which would be from this little band, and that could pass just around the south of Boona. Thank you for that generous donation as well. And then just checking back in on this camera, seeing what we can see. Because we're going to see this lightning really begin to increase in terms of frequency and brightness. It's really going to begin to illuminate the sky. And it already is doing that, again, just circling the area that we're looking at here. As this thunderstorm from Killarney continues to push into Southeast Queensland. Surely we have an update now on the... No, we don't. It's been nearly an hour. Very keen to see what we see from them, whether they tag this as very dangerous, because it is kind of that touch and go case where it could get that very dangerous tag. It probably doesn't deserve that very dangerous tag, but it could very well be worthy of it because it is just such a strong, severe thunderstorm. Yeah, it's definitely got a bit of kick to it. It's got a lot of spice, that thunderstorm. A lot of lightning heading away or heading ahead of this thunderstorm here, so it gives me confidence in saying that this is a strengthening thunderstorm system that's moving into this part of Southeast Queensland right now. And yeah, just be interesting to see what the radar updates with this line here that's going to head off into the Boona area. But yeah, very likely that we're going to see some hail in the Harrisville area in about 10 minutes' time. I would say Harrisville, it would be time to now begin moving the car inside under cover and preparing for a potential strong thunderstorm impact. I'm not going to call it a wild, severe thunderstorm impact, but for Harrisville, I would say you're going to see a strong thunderstorm pass either over you or just towards the west and the northwest. It is now time to begin considering some preparations. Bow Desert, also a little bit of rainfall there, Rathdowney, and it really does look like in the past sort of half an hour that these thunderstorms have begun to upscale, conjoin together into a large and growing line of them. Oh yeah. Recent radar frames here suggesting that this thunderstorm here is beginning to get quite a lot stronger. Do we have an update? No, we don't. But yeah, just let's go and have a look at the Brisbane radar. Yeah, that's going to go straight into Harrisville. Yeah, and just towards the west of Boona is where the hail is going to be. There will still be some significant, or a big chance of hail, most likely small hailstones in the Boona area, but in terms of the really large, nasty stuff that's going to pass towards the west. Yeah, it's not going to move over the Boona area. So Boona here, I reckon the hail is going to kind of stop at around this area here. This does throw Ipswich into the firing line though. Anyways, if you haven't already, consider subscribing and leave a like on the stream as well. It's hard to say what these thunderstorms are doing down here because they're throwing out a lot of lightning, but the radar doesn't show that they've got much in the way of significant precipitation. They're also extremely slow moving, and they all look like they're moving slowly towards the west. Some of them are moving towards the west, some of them are moving closer towards the north. Yeah, a difficult one. Bit hard to tell. So, something to keep an eye on. Bomb warning is updated, is it? Oh yeah, so they haven't tagged it as dangerous. 54 millimeters of rainfall in 30 minutes at Barangarok. 6 centimeter hailstones at Taroom. That's some pretty big stuff. And then yeah, this is a severe warned storm that's going to clip Boonah, clip Laidley, and then eventually in about 45 minutes or so get into the Ipswich area. So 100 kilometre an hour gust at Emerald. 2 centimetre stones at Yarraman as well. Wow, so we've had some... And then this would be the updated one as well. So large, possibly giant hailstones, locally destructive winds, and heavy rainfall. Some really serious impacts right through Queensland today. And yeah, now Bundaberg under that severe thunderstorm warning as well. I don't think Bundaberg's going to get that badly hit, though. It's going to be the Fraser Coast between Harvey Bay down to Rainbow Beach where the strongest winds are going to be. Maryborough is now getting those really strong wind gusts. But yeah, up towards Bundaberg, I don't think it's going to be too bad up there. Really don't think it's going to get too bad. Woodford, Caboolture area. Yeah, we're going to see these upscaled thunderstorms later into the Caboolture area. I don't think it's going to be anything too crazy, though. Just looking at these thunderstorms now into the Ipswich area, I mean, it is significant, and it's something we've got to keep an eye on. I mean, 66 decibels is potentially giant hailstones. It's probably going to be another 45 minutes until we get another bomb update as well. But then honestly, just looking at these thunderstorms, they're upscaling now. This is no longer a supercell. This is because we've got that, sure, we've got that rotation couplet where the winds change direction, but it's over a very, very wide area now as these thunderstorms move across. So, and it's not also that, it's really not that strong. So, yeah. Yeah, so that's no longer a supercell thunderstorm. Pretty confident in saying that. Yeah, it'll be over in Gympie. Yeah, Gympie was never going to get it that bad because they are just a little bit further north, and we knew that it'd be upscaled stuff by then. Yeah, Lowood, nothing yet. Brisbane City as well, nothing yet. Nothing substantial. Yeah, Bundaberg, I would imagine, is getting an absolute incredible display of lightning. Thank you, Fresh Boy, for becoming a channel sponsor. And Lawrence as well, thank you for becoming a channel sponsor as well. So in terms of what I expect later, we'll be looking at some strong thunderstorms into the Brisbane area, but in terms of very dangerous severe thunderstorms, unless they tag the Ipswich one, or the one that's heading for Ipswich as a very dangerous severe thunderstorm, I don't think we're going to see them in the Brisbane area. I just don't think it's going to happen. Models have been quite conservative right now with what to expect as well. And if we just were to take a look at what we were looking at for later tonight, we're going to see these thunderstorms continue to develop and mature as they get themselves over the border, but they're going to be tracking along this sort of line here. I'd imagine they'd head a little bit further towards the east compared to what the forecast is suggesting, which takes Toowoomba out of the equation. But it looks like they kind of they definitely bypassed the Gold Coast and the Gold Coast hinterland. They moved through the scenic rim and potentially into the northern suburbs of Brisbane, but they'll be a lot weaker by the time they get up there. And even they head over the Wivenhoe outlook on this forecast, which is normally pretty accurate. Yeah, so I'm going to call an all clear for the Gold Coast. Just looking at these forecast models right now, I really don't think the Gold Coast is going to see anything. Peter Lapp, thank you for becoming a channel sponsor. Boonah, the wind is picking up. estimating for Brisbane. It depends on what thunderstorms come through, but a further 20 millimetres is likely. Yeah, I'm calling the all clear for the Gold Coast. I reckon that the areas around or within this circle here, they're going to miss out on these thunderstorms. And I think the stronger stuff is going to develop within this kind of yellow corridor. We will still see some likely strong stuff in this corridor here, particularly the further out towards the west. But yeah, I really don't think that the Gold Coast is going to see it. Now, I saw this on the forecast modelling this morning. I didn't make a mention of it because I knew that the values across Southeast Queensland were good enough to prop up severe thunderstorm activity, but we had a hole in the instability. It was down about 800 to 1200 here on the Cape Value Index in this part of Southeast Queensland, including along the the Gold Coast. So severe thunderstorms in the Gold Coast were always going to be a bit of a long shot. Sweat values were high enough that I didn't call the outbreak off, but for the Gold Coast I probably should have in hindsight, and I will do that in future. But for Brisbane, sweat index still very high at this time. It's almost maxed out, so severe thunderstorms are still likely to occur. Cape values are now beginning to drop though, but still within this corridor there will be enough to get the job done for potentially severe thunderstorms later. This Ipswich one, or moving into the Ipswich area, the Harrisville area, it's still quite strong. Moreton Bay area later tonight. I mean, if we do get thunderstorms making it up there, it'll be rainfall or rainy messes. Yeah. You just smell all of the comments already about this being a fizzer. You talk to anyone from Pratton or Clifton or Taroom and ask them if it was a fizzer. But for the Gold Coast area, I definitely think the forecast has been a little bit aggressive. But for Brisbane, we're still expecting those powerful squall lines to move through, winds between 90 to 125 kilometres an hour. The risk of tornadoes, I mean, just looking at it from a logical perspective right now, pretty minimal. Still possible, but yeah, pretty minimal right now, I would say, the risk of tornadoes into the Brisbane area. Could happen, though. Could happen. In fact, it looks like the stronger stuff is now moving through further north. I mean, like we said, the Fraser Coast is getting pretty badly hammered right now with some very strong winds between Hervey Bay right down to Rainbow Beach, and this would include Maryborough as well. Some strong thunderstorm activity moving through there. A strong cluster as well that's going to move between Hervey Bay and Woodgate Beach, which will bring potentially severe thunderstorm conditions to Hervey Bay, especially the further west you go. Bundaberg as well, likely to see something, but they might thread the needle between this gap here that's moved over Guyanda and Mount Perry. I don't think anything crazy is going to happen in the Bundaberg area. These thunderstorms still have to cross a mountain range, so by the time they get themselves to the coastline, they'll be a lot weaker, and in a few hours' time as well. So Gladstone, Agnes Water, your chances are pretty weak. It'll be a brief period of 90 to 120 kilometre an hour winds, then they'll drop back down to about 40 to 60. And this is gusts, not sustained. So they could cause some pretty significant damage here and there to power lines, trees, etc. 120 kilometres an hour can cause roofs to fail, and we've seen that already today. And we'll also see quite a lot of rainfall very quickly. But for the Brisbane area, I would say expect the lower end of what the initial forecast was. Nambour, I believe, is on the Sunshine Coast, and if it's on the Sunshine Coast, I would say, yeah, that is it, provided it is north of Maroochydore, because we're still going to see some storm activity moving through this corridor here. And of course, like that throws Caboolture into the mix of things in Brisbane as well. It's these sort of storms like this. To call a massive outbreak in the Brisbane area, this Harrisville storm would have to be a lot bigger right now. And it's just not. It's thrown out a lot of lightning though. You can see some of that cloud activity now illuminated by the Brisbane skyline. And yeah, this Harrisville storm now growing on the Brisbane webcam, and lightning being all the way out here as well, lightning shooting through here. I mean, it'd be good if we get some strikes in front of the rainfall, but picked the wrong time to look at this webcam. Small hail in Brisbane tonight, most likely. Yeah, Brisbane has been extremely lucky on the thunderstorm scene so far this season. I mean, that hailstorm that came through last weekend could have gone through the Brisbane CBD and caused $1 billion in damages. It is so lucky that it was headed and then took that dive south and then diverted north. The Redcliffe storm yesterday at one point was headed for the Brisbane area, steered away into the Moreton Bay. This storm here honestly looks like it's going to break away and head through Ipswich and then into the Diagla National Park. So Brisbane has been, extremely lucky with storms. And even the first major outbreak where we had that massive storm move through Ipswich, that went through the Diagla National Park, then looked like it was going to go for Brisbane and then jump north towards Caboolture. So Brisbane is yet to see a major storm so far. Yeah. And then just seeing, like, what do we have here? So on the Doppler wind, still some strong wind gusts around Mount Mistake and Mulgoe. It looks like it could still be rotating. We've got a little bit of an indent there around the Mistake. But, yeah, it's a weak supercell if it is one. But it's also beginning to lose some of its precipitation too, so... These storms are upscaling, which means rainfall becomes the main threat now. The Brisbane luck is running out. Well, everywhere's going to cop a storm eventually, and Brisbane is overdue for a pretty big impact, let's be honest. So, that Caloundra cell is moving offshore. That would have dropped a lot of rainfall on the northern edge of Bribie Island. In terms of gusts at Warwick, we've been looking at about 40 kilometres an hour so far, nothing crazy there. I imagine the winds around the Amberley Airport will begin to pick up pretty soon as well. Byron Bay just copped a bit of a storm with rainfall still going there, and that's extending up towards Mullumbimby. And inland towards Nimbin as well. Again, nothing too substantial there. Yeah, so when I say a place is safe, it doesn't mean you're in the all clear. It means that for now, conditions are calm and they're expected to remain that way. And we just don't know when the next update is going to be necessary for those locations. So, no update here. Gladstone is safe right now, but they're not in the all clear. Yeah, so be aware. Definitely still be aware. Yeah, so in the summer, well, keep in mind we're still in spring. We're in the last month of spring now, but only just. This is a crazy start for thunderstorm season. We're going to continue to see this increase as we get out towards late November, and there is big potential as we get out towards late November as well. Possible hail in Brisbane later tonight, especially if these cells do make it into the Brisbane area. Rather upscaled, we'll be seeing hailstones into the Brisbane city area. But not giant hailstones. That's not going to happen now. These thunderstorms just don't want to develop down here. I mean, they just do not want to upscale. They do not want to... They don't even want to head towards the north either. So it'll be a long time before they get themselves into the Brisbane CBD. Like probably 10 o'clock tonight. Cairns to Maroochy got diverted. That doesn't surprise me. Brisbane is not going to get smashed, no. Yeah, the cell should begin to fall apart once it reaches the Ipswich area. And to be honest, like, these are thunderstorms now. They are still strong and potentially dangerous, but it's getting to the point where this is just a stock standard outbreak across Southeast Queensland, and it's not a major concern right now. And even some of the reports that I'm starting to see online, we're not looking at anything particularly crazy or particularly concerning right now. Still got some good lightning strikes developing across the Queensland area. And there's been some incredibly impressive thunderstorms, particularly further inland. But right now, we don't have... Yeah, there's nothing like absolutely bonkers now on the cards across Southeast Queensland. And I honestly think that for dangerous severe thunderstorms, we can announce an all clear across Southeast Queensland. Thank you, Air Turbulence, for that very kind donation as well. Massively appreciated. because this is kind of the only storm that's posing any kind of risk now to the Brisbane area. By the time the rest of them get in there, they're going to be like the thunderstorms further north, so they will have some strong wind gusts, and we're talking, like I said, 100 kilometres an hour, but that doesn't really pose a problem to Brisbane because, like I said, they're built for that sort of stuff. It's mainly the giant hail risk, which is not a problem anymore, and the heavy rainfall risk, which is not going to be a problem because these storms aren't going to be around for too long. But yeah, I think this now just becomes a much more minimal risk right now. I guess we will wait and see what goes on later tonight. I would just like to get one more update out of the Bureau of Meteorology, though, just to see what we're talking about with this Ipswich storm. It's definitely a lot, a lot less than what was initially tipped at this time. And again, it's because they're coming through a lot later than what we initially expected. Let's just pull this forward here and see what we're looking at. Thank you so much, Voices, for the kind words. Now, well, if I've got to take another break, it's just going to be... That'll be it for the thunderstorm coverage tonight. And honestly, I'm getting to that point right now because this is stock standard stuff. There's no point in creating alarmist media when it's just stock standard stuff that's coming through. I hope that didn't come through twice. It's very, very generous if you've sent through two, so thank you so much. But yeah, in terms of like dangerous severe thunderstorms, the risk is over for Queensland. Power's out in Boona, yeah, lots and lots of lightning. What is it like? I imagine the precipitation rates are beginning to pick up as well into the Boona area. Harrisville is next, so again, about 10 minutes away for Harrisville. South of lights flickering, thunder and lightning and heavy rainfall. Yeah, I don't think there's anything too crazy in the Harrisville area. Or too crazy coming through for the Harrisville area. It's definitely a strong thunderstorm just towards the south of you guys, but it isn't anything nutty or crazy. Some hail in Emerald, yeah. Well, Emerald got smashed with those massive winds. They had, what, 100, 110 kilometre an hour gusts or something like that. And far, don't even get me started on the Taroom storm. That was crazy. Absolutely crazy what happened through there. I was surprised at just how that developed. Yeah, Gold Coast, like we said earlier, pretty much in the all clear for severe thunderstorms. We may see some rainfall developing down there. Some of these storms are pushing out now ahead of Rathdowney. We are seeing a bit of lightning developing along a line here, so again, that's a sign that this squall line is beginning to develop and mature a little bit more. But for the Gold Coast area, I don't expect anything crazy in the way of severe stuff. Yeah, and from now on, it's just going to be rain and wind. Severe, because of the wind speeds and the wind gusts, but it will just be rain and wind pushing this forward now. Not something to be overly concerned about or worried about, that's for sure. So, to answer the question, is it a fizzer? Well, that's a very offensive question to pose to the people further inland through Central Queensland, that's for sure, considering they had 9 centimetre hailstones today. But for the Brisbane area, it's not going to be as strong as what my forecast was. It's just not going to get there. It's not going to cause as much damage. It's not going to be as strong as 2023, which is, it's great, it is. I just cannot stress that enough. It's just excellent to see that it is not going to be as strong as those things, as those dramatic outbreaks that we had. Tornado, we've had unconfirmed reports further inland of a possible tornado that's came through, but for Southeast Queensland, it's not going to end up producing tornadoes at this point in time. But yeah, 2023 was not worse than 2014. But yeah, we're going to be looking at a lot of rainfall tonight through what locations. We'll be looking at 15 to 30 millimeters in a short period of time, probably less than half an hour. Some very strong wind gusts as well will blow through the region. We'll be looking at some very strong wind gusts coming through, potentially up around the 120 kilometre an hour mark in some of the stronger storms, but more widespread gusts between 80 to 90 kilometres an hour. But for a November outbreak, for an early November outbreak at that, this has got to be one of the best that we've seen, even through Southeast Queensland. This has got to be one of the most incredible storm outbreaks that we've seen. So whilst we haven't seen Christmas 2023, that was 2 months ahead with 2 months more energy in the atmosphere to make the most of. So very, very good to see. And yeah, it looks like these thunderstorms are now on their way out. We're seeing these upscale quite dramatically. There's still some strong wind gusts and some rotation in these thunderstorms here, so we're going to continue to see this, but it's definitely going to be on the weaker side of what we're looking at. And it's just, again, because of that hole in the energy across the Brisbane area. Brisbane is going to cop it, though, later tonight, and some of the suburbs, especially towards the west of Brisbane, are going to cop it, particularly across the northwest of Brisbane. They will cop it. Caboolture will cop it as well. We'll be seeing a lot of rainfall, heavy wind speeds as well. But for right now, nothing too crazy. I mean, the risk of tornado is there, but it's very minimal. Like, it's probably below 1% now at this point in time. So, yeah, it's been a lot better than what we initially thought, which is just excellent news. Look, I'm going to pack it up at the top of the hour here, so another 15 minutes of coverage, just seeing what these thunderstorms are going to do, but there's not an awful lot to really hammer home here. If these thunderstorms, if this is as bad as it is going to be, there's no reason to continue this coverage, because this is for all intents and purposes, not really a severe thunderstorm outbreak anymore. Yeah, we've had some strong winds and some massive hailstones, particularly earlier on in the afternoon, but for right now, like, it is pretty tame out there. Yeah, so it does have a bit of a hook. It actually does look quite pretty with that hook. Swirling around in there. Doppler radar suggests some pretty good rotation as well, and it's just getting itself out to the radar station now. Harrisville winds will be beginning to pick up, so it'll be interesting to see how significant the conditions are around the Harrisville area. And yeah, it's going to move into the Amberley Airport pretty soon. Wind gusts there are already beginning to pick up by the looks of things. And this will be the first of at least half a dozen storms moving into the Brisbane area throughout the course of tonight. But I think for the Gold Coast, it's time to breathe that sigh of relief. Still some rainfall and thunderstorm activity will move through there, but we will be breathing that sigh of relief, that's for sure. Brisbane area, not quite yet. So the old BOM website, you go to reg.bom.gov.au, so reg.bom.gov.au. Yeah, it's still pretty quiet through Brisbane. However, we do have a lot more thunderstorm activity beginning to build, and just these big lines of thunderstorms here are now beginning to push into the Brisbane area. In fact, it looks like they may be dragging. The Gold Coast may see something in the next 30 minutes or so. So unless we see something beginning to drag a little bit further north, it could become a little bit more Gold Coast focused. What an outbreak, that's for sure. What an outbreak of thunderstorms. Definitely one of the more impressive ones, that's for sure. Very much one of the more impressive, dangerous, severe thunderstorm outbreaks. As this rainfall continues to move right through into the north. Sunshine Coast, the threat is also beginning to drop off Hervey Bay. Thunderstorms imminent there, and I imagine the wind gusts are now really beginning to pick up into the Hervey Bay region too. What did we end up getting in Maryborough? 65 kilometres an hour. Wow, so these storms are like really falling apart right now. They're a lot weaker than what the radar is suggesting. Still a good supercell here outside of Bungaburn, moving in towards Cockatoo, just towards the east of Taroom. Yeah, wild, but I imagine nothing insane in the Hervey Bay area. And pretty solid storms further inland as well. Inverell's had 29 millimetres of rain so far and some pretty strong wind gusts into the severe range. Pretty good. Yeah, the forecast had it way worse into the Brisbane area. I still definitely reckon, I mean, this storm that's moving into Harrisville now, we'll see what it's like for Harrisville. If it ends up being pretty gnarly in the Harrisville area, then we could be talking about something pretty serious for the Brisbane CBD. And we still have that rotation here, so there's some strong winds moving through from an embedded supercell in this developing squall line. But in terms of, for the Brisbane area, it's likely to end up being a lot better than what the initial forecast said. Must be the Brisbane Dome. But yeah, I mean, of course, as we head out into, as we get going in towards December and January, December's always one of the biggest months for the storm season. Well, late November, early December is the biggest time for severe thunderstorms through Southeast Queensland. We could see another setup like this, and then we're looking at thunderstorms across Southeast Queensland. But the reason why we haven't seen the strongest thunderstorms in Southeast Queensland was because of the dry line. It set itself up initially right out here. That's about 300 kilometres away from Brisbane. So these thunderstorms had to develop along here, which we saw them do, and they had no problems doing that, and they were extremely severe when they did. But they have to travel all of this way, and it's taken all of this time for them to do that, and that's why they've been substantially weaker moving into the coastal regions. Pointing a hairdryer at the thunderstorms drying out the storms, yeah. Yeah, it's on Ipswich's doorstep. We've been making that reference. Well, Harrisville is the more immediate threat, but yeah, for Ipswich, we're talking about the next 15 minutes or so. So yeah, hunker down in Ipswich. Let's see if we can get some of the latest imagery. See how much lightning it's throwing out. Still throwing out a substantial amount of lightning, but we've still got this messy cloud cover that's kind of clouding the view of this webcam stream. Oh, this isn't even the latest imagery. That was about 10 minutes ago. Oh yeah, so now we can actually start to see this wall cloud that's beginning to move in here. So Ipswich over here, where the really dark stuff is, we'll likely be seeing a lot of lightning here. Or not. Those thunderstorms obviously just got a mind of its own. It looks like it wants to fall apart. Yep, it's no intention of throwing down a severe thunderstorm or a lightning bolt or anything like that, so it's like watching paint dry. Still a lot of lightning pushing into the Ipswich area, and I mean Harrisville right now, Rosewood in about 5 minutes, Marburg in about 8 minutes, Ipswich in about 10 minutes for this potentially significant severe thunderstorm. Well, it's definitely a significant severe thunderstorm, but we're not talking about anything crazy in the way of monster hail compared to what we were looking at earlier today. 58 decibels though, it's got some hail in it. Small hailstones at that, but it definitely has some hailstones in it. Yeah, storm to watch. And still a few strong storms over the border as well into the northeast of New South Wales. 65 decibels here moving in towards Gordon Brook. And strong storms spreading throughout the Queensland-New South Wales border. And in the next hour or so, they'll cross into the border, and in about 2 hours, they'll make their way into the Gold Coast. And then a little bit further north into the Brisbane area, we'll likely see these thunderstorms push in. But for right now, the risk into the Brisbane area is looking pretty minimal. And same deal with the Gold Coast as well. The risk is there for thunderstorms. We're guaranteed to see thunderstorms through Brisbane and all of her suburbs. Same with the Gold Coast. It is guaranteed that we'll see thunderstorms there. You're not going to have a dry night. But you will see thunderstorms. You will see heavy rainfall. You will see damaging winds. But in terms of wild severe thunderstorms, such as the forecast that we had earlier, the chances are pretty minimal right now. In Brisbane, it's business as usual. This is typical Southeast Queensland weather. Business as usual. As these storms move in. Brisbane in about half an hour, I'd say, as well. Well, the Brisbane CBD area in about half an hour. I mean, it depends on what you classify as hard. It's going to be one of the strongest storms of the year in the Ipswich area, just off winds and rainfall, but it will be that typical summer storm. A lot of lightning. Well, I mean, apparently a lot of lightning, because when we looked at the radar image or the live webcam imagery, there wasn't much in it. But yeah, the biggest readings that we're seeing here, 63 decibels. That could constitute large hailstones, but for the most part, it just looks like this is going to be dropping small hailstones. Even that Clifton storm, though, that's really fallen apart. Still a lot of lightning down here over the border. These thunderstorms holding strong with some small hailstones. They're just not upscaling, though. And we would want them to upscale to really increase our chances. But yeah, for the Brisbane and the Gold Coast area, it's not looking overly likely that we're going to see those wild thunderstorms, or we're not going to see those wild thunderstorms that were once on the initial forecast. But for now, we still expect severe thunderstorms to occur through Brisbane and the Gold Coast. So tonight's forecast does have those severe thunderstorms, damaging winds, heavy rainfall, even some hailstones as well. But it's not going to be anything out of the ordinary for the Brisbane area. Same deal with the Gold Coast either. What is this webcam looking like? Pretty dark. That's a solid wall cloud here. You can kind of make out the wall. So I imagine there'll be a bit of lightning, but again, we just cannot see this lightning apparently. A few flickers over there. Maybe it's off the screen. Very well could be. Do we have an update from BOM? Not quite. Thank you for all of the lovely, lovely messages that have came in. I believe I just refreshed that. But yeah, we're starting to see these storms join together and upscale a little bit, moving into the Gold Coast. And I definitely reckon the Gold Coast in about half an hour is going to see a bit of rainfall come through. It'll be that brief, heavy stuff followed by some more moderate stuff along the Gold Coast. Heavier in spots, lighter in spots, of course. But anywhere between 10 to 25 millimeters, I would expect in the Gold Coast area. And even up in towards Brisbane as well, somewhere between that 10 to 25 millimetre mark, potentially 30 millimetres in the Diagla National Park and through the Samford Valley, where the strongest part of the storm is expected to go through. But yeah, latest radar imagery still suggesting some heavy rainfall, potentially some small hailstones as well. Ipswich will likely see hail, or at least some of the suburbs in Ipswich will likely see hail from this thunderstorm, but it's going to be that smaller hailstone type, so pea-sized hail, for example. Oh yeah, it was more intense yesterday in Redcliffe. That was a bit of a freak storm, to be honest, in the Redcliffe area. Yep. All calm now for Hervey Bay. So that would mean that everything... Oh no, so Hervey Bay's getting the storm now, but for pretty much everywhere south of this line here, and then towards the west of this line, so this includes Kingaroy, Goomeri, apart from those areas that are in the path of this supercell thunderstorm here, that's moving off towards Eidsvold, all clear. This includes Chinchilla, Miles, Jandowie, Kingaroy, Yarraman, Crow's Nest, Toowoomba now, Clifton, possibly Warwick. Maybe not, though. Nah, not Warwick. Yeah, not Warwick. Not just yet. Yeah, so upscaling is where these storms become concentrated and isolated in nature, and then eventually very large and conjoined in nature. So they join together with other thunderstorms, basically. And that's what we're seeing right now, moving over into the Marburg and the Ipswich area. Ipswich about 5 minutes away, I would say now, for these thunderstorms. Now, if the severe thunderstorm warning gets dropped, I'm going to end the live coverage because we're unlikely to see further severe thunderstorm warnings raised if this one gets dropped. But I definitely reckon we've still got some large hailstones developing in this one, or still occurring in this one here. This is a bad summer storm that's coming through. This isn't anything crazy or out of the ordinary. We're talking about a bad summer storm that happens 5 to 10 times a year. Talked up a lot, though. Hail in Greenbank, likely. But we're talking, again, small hailstones, so like pea-sized slush basically coming from the sky. Yeah. God, I really want that update to come through. Do we have an update on the Brisbane forecast, though? Not yet. Not just yet. And the severe thunderstorm warning still going across the Wide Bay, Burnett, Central Highlands and Coalfields, parts of the Capricornia region, and into the Goldfields and Lower Burdekin. Some very dangerous severe thunderstorms still occurring in those regions as well. Looks like we've actually had a bit of flooding now. Just having a look at the flood map. We've got minor, well, maybe not on this version of the map, but we had minor flooding by the looks of things out here. I wonder if that was associated with these severe thunderstorms that have came through today. Nine River. Oh, that would be a very glitchy station by the looks of things. Yeah, still no update from the Bureau of Meteorology. Moving into the Ipswich area now. Logan, again, same deal with what's going to come through Ipswich. This line is really beginning to join up now, and it's extending down towards Bow Desert and even across the border. So what we're going to see in the next half an hour through much of Brisbane suburbs pushing through is a line of strong winds, potentially damaging wind gusts, and these will make it all the way up towards Caboolture and down to the Gold Coast Seaway area. We'll have a brief period of heavy rainfall and some large hail, well, not large hail, small hailstones rather, around that pea-sized. And this will persist for a short period of time as these thunderstorms move towards the northeast. We've got a big conjoined line. The strongest of the stuff is going to happen where this conjoined line is really bubbling away right now, which is for the Ipswich area. And this will also likely pass into the Diagla National Park and then into the Brisbane area too. But in terms of really wild stuff, it's not going to be like a 2023 or a 2014. Well, it hasn't actually happened in Ipswich yet, so that's why nothing's happened yet. A lot of lightning still. I wonder if we can find it on the live stream here. Be really good to see. This is a great feature here. Yeah, you can really see that shelf cloud building. I wish I could turn the contrast up on this stream here to really show that shelf cloud, but yeah, expecting to see quite a lot of flashes here, but this stream here, this live stream, is not going to quite capture this thunderstorm moving in to the Brisbane area. A bit of a cell here developing around the Mount Nebo area. That would have some small hail in it as well. That's really got itself going. So maybe in the next 20 minutes for the Strathpine Redcliffe area. I don't think it'll get a dangerous tag or anything. Still no update. That's very, very frustrating. Not seeing any other reports over on Facebook either just yet. Yeah, far out. We've had some pretty incredible stuff, that's for sure. Surely we have an update. Still quite intense precipitation rates here. This thunderstorm's holding strong and it's just beginning to pick up now to the Ipswich area. Moving through. Pretty standard stuff though. Some of these thunderstorms down in the northeast of New South Wales, I mean, they're really not doing much. They've hovered around for the past hour, really slow moving. Heavy rainfall, damaging winds associated with them, but they're not upscaling at all. Not just yet anyway. Thank you, Nicholas, for that generous donation. Okay, Brisbane's not going to get smashed, but they will be impacted by hail, damaging winds, and some pretty significant rainfall accumulations as well. Like I said, 15 to 30 millimetres across the Brisbane area. Yeah, up in Hervey Bay, it's really getting going up there. I mean, the worst of the wind will be over for the Hervey Bay area, but still getting going up there. Some pretty significant stuff is possible. Yeah, lot of lightning. Lot of lightning through the Ipswich area. Yeah, 57 decibels is still large hail territory. Not giant hail territory, but it is definitely large hail territory. Wondering if we've got an update now for these thunderstorms moving in. Not quite, and I believe the next update will be scheduled, 3 hours away. Nothing yet in this warning yet either. Turning into a bit of a waiting game between... Yeah, that's what the general trend of a lot of these storms is going to be. We're going to see 20 minutes of rain, thunder, hail, and then that's it. Super heavy rain in Ipswich, yeah. Yeah, it'd be close to a torrential downpour, yeah. Rosewood would be picking it up big time right now. Same with Marburg. Surely you've got an update for me. Nah, not yet. Desperate for this update. Just checking in on the Toowoomba radar. So 23 millimetres now at Amberley. 4 millimetres of that is in the last couple of minutes. Winds weren't really that strong there. Mount Nebo, a little bit of a rotation developing there. Marburg radar is terrible for that type of stuff. What does the Brisbane one say? Nothing. Nothing there. So 28 kilometre an hour winds at Amberley, gusting 37. Yeah, it's not even that strong on the wind speed side of things either. Really isn't that strong at all. But yeah, it's just going to give a good drop of rainfall. Maybe some hail. A couple of minutes of strong wind gusts, but yeah, really not a... Yeah. 22 mil in Gympie. Yeah, Gympie threaded the needle between those thunderstorms again. I wonder what winds we've been seeing at Hervey Bay. Yeah, 48 kilometres an hour. That's nothing crazy. The thunderstorm was definitely on its way out by the time it got up there. Maryborough got 65 kilometre an hour gusts. I believe Kingaroy got some pretty decent gusts. Yeah, 83 kilometres an hour at Kingaroy. Thank you so much, Milt Down Under, for the kind words and the donation as well. Guyanda as well, 57 kilometers an hour. Been a real mix of locations where they've had these strong thunderstorms. We've had some pretty significant wind gusts, but where they have missed, we've seen squat. So moving over Mount Nebo now, and this will move into the Samford Valley soon. Potential large hailstones developing. Gold Coast is going to get stuff tonight, yeah. There's rainfall beginning to develop there now, and we're already beginning to see a connection between these thunderstorms pushing into the Canungra area. And this will just bring 15 to 30 millimetres of rainfall over the next couple of hours. Yeah, it'd be pretty heavy around the Tamborine Mountain, and there's a lot of lightning further towards your west as well. There's a little bit of heavy stuff developing through here, 62 decibels. You know, we may be walking into large hail territory with this thunderstorm. Nothing. Can't see any like tight rotation just yet. There's some strong wind gusts pushing ahead of this thunderstorm. Oh, that's out at Warrego. I thought that was the Toowoomba radar. I was about to say what took that out. The Toowoomba radar, though, yeah, not really showing anything. It's quite a long way away. It's always a bit of a stretch for me to see rotation on it. But yeah, not that strong, not that much. Noel, thank you very much. Number one computer shop in Ipswich sponsoring the good work. Much appreciated. Yeah. Large hail is now a possibility, I would say, particularly into the Greenbank area. If this thunderstorm continues carrying on in this direction here, Greenbank and then eventually Logan, we've also likely got a bit of hail developing here, which is going to move into the north of Ipswich. So Amberley's copying it now. The Ipswich area itself is likely to dodge it, but north of Ipswich, up to the Brisbane River, around the Bremer River, and then into the Brisbane River, large hail up there, and also some large hail developing around the Mount Nebo area too in the Diagla National Park, which is going to move off into the Strathpine area and into the Samford Valley. So all through the Samford Valley, which is here, could be seeing large hailstones in the next 5 to 10 minutes or so. But yeah, for Brisbane, pretty tame. Pretty standard. I shouldn't be calling it tame because it's still dangerous, but all severe thunderstorms are dangerous. The lightning, the hail, winds, rain, all of that sort of stuff. But tame in comparison to what the forecast was initially suggesting. Just waiting for this radar to update. Just as we are waiting for the severe thunderstorm warning to update, that's got to be coming through in the next minute or so. Scheduled it for 8:25, so normally they're about 10 to 15 minutes early, so yeah, we're hanging out for it right now. Beaudesert hail likely occurring down there. Small hail, or some very heavy precipitation. Over the border and towards Murraywarrumba, small hail is likely occurring as well, or getting into those areas as well. Oh, Matty Bombs, thank you very much for gifting 5 channel sponsorships. That is very, very much appreciated. Yeah, still no update on this storm here moving into the Mount Nebo area. Be good to see if we can get an update for it. No update from the bomb severe tracker either. Bucketing in Ipswich, yep. We're going to see small hail in Logan. We're going to see small hail throughout the Brisbane city area. That's just going to happen. But in terms of really bad stuff, it's not going to be that widespread. And I don't expect anything too crazy to occur either. So, yeah, we can put our fears of that to bed. And we've just had an update on the radar here. The Mount Nebo storm not getting any worse, still 60 decibels, or 55 decibels now, so that's weakening off by the looks of things, or breathing in and out. Ipswich storm approaching 60 decibels. We've got very heavy precipitation now at Willowbank, if not small hail, and again approaching 60 decibels now, moving into the Greenbank area. I'm now starting to get a little bit concerned. This storm here is pushing ahead now those little humps are what we call derechos. Derechos are very common in the United States. They house very strong wind gusts as they push ahead. And as we're looking at this thunderstorm here moving into the Greenbank area, and then we've got our Logan City area through here, Redbank up here, we could be seeing a very strong line of wind gusts develop. So this is one to watch. It's now beginning to look like this thunderstorm may be a little bit more severe than we initially expected. Yeah, and 36 millimeters at Amberley in just a few minutes. A further 16 millimeters of that in just a few minutes. Wind gusts really picking up now ahead of this thunderstorm around the Greenbank area. Oh, like a derecho type thing. I'm not calling it a derecho. I'm not familiar with that sort of terminology, but we're talking about something similar, like a line of powerful wind gusts pushing ahead of this severe thunderstorm moving into the Ipswich area. Could be a bit of a concern. But yeah, definitely something that we want to keep an eye on. This is a strong thunderstorm in the making, and it's dropping some small hailstones as well. So, yeah, even if we do get an update on this, I reckon that this is going to remain a dangerous severe thunderstorm, and it's going to keep that severe thunderstorm warning. So, yeah, it's exactly like a squall line. Derechos are squall lines, they are, but this one here is behaving like one with the winds that it is pushing ahead of it. Strong winds at that, very strong wind gusts. We're talking 120 k's an hour or so. Yeah, pack-a-punch squall line, that's what they are. Jimboomba about 5 minutes away for the rain to really pick up there, potentially hail as well. Greenbank also 5 minutes away. Redbank about 5 minutes. Ipswich City area, or the Ipswich, I guess, Central Business District, if you want to call it that, will be happening either now or in the next couple of minutes. We're going to see that rainfall really pick up there. Again, no update from BOM. And then I would just like to say that Strathpine, the Samford Valley area, definitely looking at some significant chances of potentially seeing some strong thunderstorm activity pretty soon. Bow Echo, that's the word that I was looking for. Thank you very, very much for putting that in the chat. But yeah, rain picking up in Redbank. Yeah, interesting. It's showing some interesting signs, this little storm here. All hope is not lost for a powerful supercell, severe thunderstorm in the Brisbane City area. I knew that this was going to happen. I knew that we were going to be seeing some hail, some heavy rainfall, damaging winds. It's definitely looking a little bit stronger than, I guess, what I initially expected, though. Look, so this is now something to keep a very close, watchful eye on. Oh, look at this. So you see this cloud activity here? That's very, very low down. Lots of lightning activity, and you can see that's illuminating the shelf cloud here, the wall cloud, which I've just outlined. So we'll wait and see what the lightning is, and we can also see that we've got this big shelf cloud beginning to develop up here as well. Another shelf cloud down here, so this is over our Bow Desert storm heading in towards the Logan Village area, and this is our Ipswich storm up here. So let's just wait for the updated, or see if we can see any lightning from this storm here. But it's a maturing thunderstorm, it's getting stronger, and yeah, it's something to be watching. It is something to keep a close, watchful eye on. This thunderstorm is going places, it's maturing, and it is getting a little bit stronger. So yeah, that lightning really showing us, highlighting that we've got that wall cloud, that really strong, potent looking wall cloud, except there's no lightning to really show us what's going on. And we've got an update finally. Whole of the Brisbane area now expecting severe thunderstorms very soon. So the warning is 8:10 p.m. Severe thunderstorms producing damaging winds, hailstones, heavy rainfall detected near Ipswich and Peak Crossing. These thunderstorms moving towards the northeast. They are forecast to expect the Brisbane CBD, Logan Central and Laidley area by 8:40 p.m. and then Beenleigh, Cleveland and Strathpine, Redcliffe by 9:10 p.m. We've even got that separate severe thunderstorm warning here for this cell which has held on, actually. I didn't really foresee this one holding on. Yeah, now moving over the Oxley Creek, Greenbank is now under the influence of these significant winds, likely, and also hail. Ripley and Ipswich copping it now. It's no longer going to miss the Ipswich area and these thunderstorms, or the severe thunderstorm, which I could circle right now. This is what is the Bureau of what the Bureau of Meteorology is tracking, and it is heading in this direction here, which is going to bring the significant severe thunderstorm conditions right through the Brisbane city area and right through the metro area of Brisbane as well. So all of Brisbane is going to be on the receiving end of this severe thunderstorm. The metro area, Logan City, Redland City, the East Coast, the Bay suburbs, the harbour, the airport, Strathpine as well, Samford Valley from this thunderstorm up here, and then eventually up towards Caboolture and Redcliffe. So, yeah, still severe tagged. But this is not a thunderstorm to be worrying about either. This is a pretty quintessential stock standard summer thunderstorm. It is beginning to develop some more rainfall activity and convection out in this area, and that's going to push into that's going to continue to push in towards the Gold Coast as well. So the northern areas of the Gold Coast, the rainfall is going to continue up there, and we'll continue to see some pretty significant accumulations through this part of southeastern Queensland as the evening draws on. Now, of course, if you are brand new here, please do consider subscribing. There's still more coverage to come as these thunderstorms continue through the southeast Queensland area. I'm going to end up being live for as long as my voice can handle. All clear for the Hervey Bay area, just a bit more rainfall and lightning is still to come, but the damaging winds now pushing off into the Fraser Coast area. Bundaberg about 15 minutes away from potential severe thunderstorm conditions, including damaging winds. And then these storms here moving north of Mount Perry and Guyanda. All clear for both locations there, all clear for Eidsvold, all clear for Taroom. These major severe thunderstorms are now beginning to fall apart around the Taroom area, including that supercell that was extremely potent looking through the Taroom area. Thank you to everybody that has been watching as well. Yeah, I know I tried to leave earlier, but the weather has said no to me. It's given me middle fingers for trying to leave. Interesting. This is very, very interesting as this thunderstorm moves through. I imagine we'll be seeing a lot of reports of small hailstones across Ipswich in the next couple of minutes. But yeah, it's been a big one, and as these thunderstorms continue to push in, they're going to continue to bring those hailstones, those damaging winds, and we're expecting the full suite of impacts across southeastern Queensland. But yeah, stick with us here because these thunderstorms are an ongoing situation here. BOM has tagged it as severe. It's not a dangerous thunderstorm, but pretty much anywhere that is within this purple outline can expect hailstones momentarily, and then out towards Jimboomba as well, through the extreme southern parts of Logan City. Thank you very much for the kind words, Bo Campbell, over in Strathpine. Take care. But yeah, and this includes Brisbane as well. Over down in Logan here, Redlands, Bay suburbs through here, the harbour, the airport, even Redcliffe as well up here, Strathpine, north of the CBD, all looking at thunderstorms and all looking at an imminent thunderstorm threat. Yeah, get the Merc inside unless you've got good coverage. I would definitely be putting cars inside now. These hailstones aren't large and they're not likely to cause significant damage and definitely not damage to cars. But what if 1 or 2 large hailstones do drop down? What if we do see 4 or even 5 centimetre hail? It wouldn't take much for this thunderstorm to become even stronger than it is. And this is hail coming through, so it's something to be taken seriously. Get out, move things around, do what you have to do. Yep, Greenbank will be getting it right now. Wind gusts still haven't picked up yet on the observations, but Greenbank will be copping it, and then eventually Sunnybank and Logan, winds will be picking up there. Rainfall already beginning to pick up into the Brisbane CBD area. And let's have a look at what the latest frames are on this webcam footage. I imagine it's not going to be long until we start to see some lightning activity. And you can see just that wall cloud here, the big black cloud that's pushing in very quickly from the southwest. Incredible. We don't have any lightning on the frame, which is quite disappointing. I would have thought that we would have seen some lightning by now, but nope, can't be that lucky. Yeah, still some pretty intense reflectivity readings as well. Thank you for becoming a channel sponsor as well. Started a few minutes ago, the rain or thunder. Whereabouts is this exactly? Yeah, you can still see some pretty intense reflectivity readings. There's nothing to shrug our shoulders at here. Still some strong storms moving in. But again, we've got to remind ourselves that these are very typical thunderstorms for this time of year. Sitting in the car with small hail at Kermside. Yeah, lots of small hailstones around the Brisbane area. Crow, Western Australia. Yep, Perth. Southwest and WA native. Between Samford and the city, yeah, nothing just yet, but I imagine that is going to pick up and change pretty soon. Very, very soon. I didn't realise that the crow was coming through so loudly. I can barely hear it where I am. Yeah, this thunderstorm's still quite strong, that's for sure. .58 decibels. I'll see if we get any bigger readings as this updates. Lots and lots of lightning within this one though. There's a lot of lightning flashing around in this thunderstorm. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. It's the best way to remain updated with this severe thunderstorm situation. And of course, to have some more updates as well as severe thunderstorm season continues ongoing, do consider subscribing. Raining in the Logan City area now, yeah. It'll be beginning to pick up the rainfall rates in those areas. Yeah, Redcliffe, Strathpine, Brisbane, Cleveland, Redland, Logan, Beenleigh, and Ipswich all under that severe thunderstorm warning. Just trying to see if we've got any reports of hail or anything coming down around the areas, but nothing just yet. No images coming out of these locations. Still some pretty intense reflectivity readings here, 59 decibels on the northern side of this thunderstorm. And some pretty significant winds as well will be coming through from this thunderstorm too. Just having a look at the Doppler wind readings here. 41 millimeters now at Amberley. Peak gusts of 48 kilometers an hour. Nothing crazy. I mean, it's not ridiculous, but it shows you that it has picked up. Conditions have deteriorated there. It looks like the rainfall is starting to get a little bit heavier now as we move this thunderstorm into the Archerfield area. Rainfall picking up in the Samford Valley area. Same for Strathpine, moving across into towards Redcliffe right now, and that's going to build into the Brisbane CBD area in the next, I guess, 2, 3, 4 minutes or so. We'll see the rainfall really begin to pick up into the Brisbane CBD area. Rainfall is going to be pretty steady in the next 30 minutes across the Gold Coast. As this thunderstorm tracks into the Moreton Bay area, it's going to arrive around the coastal areas in about, I'd guess, 25 minutes or so. Yeah, just not seeing anything right now in the terms of big severe thunderstorms, or any updates in regards to these severe thunderstorms. Oh, thank you so much, Night Low Story, for Night Owl Story. My apologies for that generous donation. And yet, latest precipitation readings are showing large, potentially not giant hailstones, but large hailstones developing in this Greenbank area. 62 decibels. That would constitute hailstones around the 3.5, maybe 4 centimetre in diameter. So yeah, we're definitely starting to get into those large sizes now around the Greenbank area as these thunderstorms push in. And I would like to say now, in terms of the risk for the largest hailstones, we're probably looking at a corridor here, which would include the Logan City area. So Logan City and just towards the north of Logan City, up through some of these suburbs here towards the north, Sunnybank, 8 Mile Plains, Sunnybank Hills, Parkinson, Mackenzie, then out to the city around the Redland City area, but especially north of Redland City up towards Birkdale and out towards Manly as well. Only rain in Ripley. No hail at all in Ripley. That is surprising. That's where the strongest part of this thunderstorm passed over. So I would have thought that there would have been a little bit of rain in the Ripley area. So again, quite surprising, but stranger things have happened. Rainfall still continuing in the Ipswich area, but it is starting to ease off now. And to be honest, it looks like this thunderstorm's becoming a little bit more concentrated in nature. It's not as big as what it was just a few moments ago. Still plenty of lightning within it. Now, is this properly moving over the Brisbane area now? Oh, wow, we've stopped that on there. Perfect time, that's for sure. Swapped it over at the perfect time. Really highlights how that storm is structured. We've got that defined wall cloud. Impressive. Very impressive. But nothing more to talk about. And of course, just to remind ourselves, that webcam is located around about here, looking in this direction over the CBD. So it is looking right into the core of these thunderstorms now, or this cluster of thunderstorms that's now moving across. About 25 minutes. This will be in the Moreton Bay, 30 minutes at the longest. Caboolture missing out. However, we do have a few isolated cells developing around the Caboolture area. That may throw out some large hail here and there. Maybe a few showers and cracks of lightning around the Caboolture area. So we'll keep a close eye on things up there. Of course, we're talking about this thunderstorm here south of Kilcoy and the other one here around the Samford Valley. And then this line that's connected to the main cell here that's moved through Ipswich and is now moving up towards the Logan City area. Please consider subscribing as well if you haven't, just to remain up to date on this severe thunderstorm situation across Southeast Queensland, and of course up to date on further severe thunderstorm outbreaks that occur. Thank you so much, Mitch, for the generous tip just then. Very nice. Bucketing down in the Redbank Plains for about 10 minutes. Lots of lightning. Yeah, I mean, people get themselves into this fizzer mindset. Oh, the storm's a fizzer because we haven't got something by whenever they decided that they needed to get something by. And it catches people off guard. So calling a storm a fizzer before the thunderstorm has actually, fizzled out, because they rarely do. When the forecast is as solid as what it was today, they rarely fizzle out. People just get caught off guard, and it ends up hurting more and more people. So these are not fizzer thunderstorms. These are to be taken quite seriously, and they mean business. 41 mil at Amberley Airport is not something to shrug at, especially considering that they do need the rainfall quite substantially as well. It'd be great to get an update at the observations around the Greenbank area as well. This one here at Archerfield would be great to get an update as well. Did I just click that? I must be going crazy. they've updated at the same time. I thought I was going crazy for a second. Yeah, the majority of this is just rain and thunder. Dangerous storm warning in Gladstone, do they? Oh, well to the south of Gladstone, so that's for damaging wind gusts, yeah. We've had some pretty strong wind gusts, approaching destructive wind gusts moving around the Billawheeler area. So this thunderstorm here is labelled as very dangerous because it is carrying some pretty strong wind gusts moving through. It's not going to make it to Gladstone. It's going to maybe get to Agnes Water, but it will be substantially weaker by the time it gets itself near the coastline. So for coastal locations along the Capricornia region, it's not really something to be worried about. Currently, this is the strongest storm that we've got on the eastern states, 60 decibels, and a pretty substantial amount of rainfall and hail likely over the Greenbank military training area right now. And this is pushing straight into the Logan area as well. So this will go straight over the Logan City area and then eventually out towards Redland City as well. Pretty good. Got a few new people watching. If you are brand new to the stream, welcome. Consider subscribing as well. Yeah, so Logan is about to get a nice drenching. Marijan, thank you for that generous donation as well. Very, very nice. It's great to see all of the support coming through. Brisbane raining quite hard now by the looks of things. Just going to pull this forward to the current and see what's happening, because I imagine we'll be able to see sheets of rainfall moving through. Whoa, look at that shelf. Look at this shelf cloud here. Oh, hang on, and we're blocking off. If we have a look, so keep your eyes peeled on this area here. So that's where the strongest precipitation is, underneath that shelf cloud. Keep your eyes peeled on that. I mean, that was an incredible flash, that was. But we can see a little bit of a green tinge here behind those buildings. Not to mention we've got this pretty defined shelf cloud through here, so there's definitely some more rainfall streaming through. And it is also raining in front of this camera as well. So again, very impressive, that's for sure. These new storms heading from Maroochydore, I'll touch on that in just a second. I won't forget about that, but for the most part, Maroochydore now more or less in that all clear, which is good news. Yeah, lots and lots of lightning from this thunderstorm, but that shelf cloud, very, very impressive. Yeah, very, very impressive, that's for sure. That's definitely the most impressive thunderstorm structure that I've seen in the Brisbane area today. Definitely not through Southeast Queensland, of course, but that is definitely one of the more impressive ones. So, Maroochydore, your question for Maroochydore. We do have a couple of thunderstorms beginning to blow up through here. The chance is that we may see something developing a little bit further towards the north. We'll get the satellite imagery to work. We may be able... No, there's too much overlapsing convection. So from Maroochydore, I think the chances for severe thunderstorm activity is now beginning to drop off. But we are beginning to see some thunderstorms developing a little bit further north up here. So we can't write off Maroochydore just yet. But it's not going to be widespread, dangerous, severe thunderstorm activity. It's just going to be that pretty steady stuff as these thunderstorms move through. I hope that answers your question, but it really does depend on what thunderstorms develop, I guess, upwind from the Maroochydore area. Because if we don't see dangerous thunderstorms developing, then Maroochidore's not going to see much, that's for sure. Shane, welcome to the channel sponsorship program. Thank you so much for clicking that join button. Just back to the radar imagery here. 61 decibels is the latest update. Still got a punch. It's still got it, this thunderstorm. Mr. Squiggle. I like that nickname, I do. I really, really do like that. But yeah, this thunderstorm is shape-shifting a little bit. It's not the prettiest one, but you can see its core here, which has hailstones in it. Not confirmed yet. I haven't seen any confirmation on Facebook for hailstones. I'd love to have a bit of, or maybe not Coopers. I wouldn't like much of that, but I'd love to have a beer right now. It would soothe my throat real good. But we've got to stay alert. We've got to stay on top of things on the stream. This thunderstorm here moving into the Logan area. That's going to get out towards the Redland City area pretty soon. And we will be seeing likely some small hailstones out into the Redland City and through the Moreton Bay coastline up there. A lot of lightning developing here. And again, just flicking it back to our stream here. Wow, okay, so it's now beginning to pick up the rainfall where this live camera is just in the last couple of minutes, which is going to ruin our view. They need windscreen wipers on this, they do. Windscreen wipers would be amazing, but that means that this webcam here is now picking up some of this rainfall coming in from these cells that are being dragged around. Very close lightning. That was probably that flash that we just saw. Yeah, a lot of lightning moving through here. Honestly, the development of this storm cell is going to take it south of the Brisbane River. And yeah, really throw it through Redland City, which is right here. And then, of course, like Logan City, which it's impacting right now. Logan, you guys are in the thick of things, and it's likely to be hailing, if it's not already, in the next couple of minutes. I've been saying hunker down all day on this stream. We have dBZ is decibels, so it is the reading of reflectivity coming through from these severe thunderstorms. The precipitation is reflecting the radar signal back to the radar, and the higher the number, the more intense the precipitation is. Breezy rain is heavy, yep. Yeah, I mean, looking at the radar, there is quite a bit of rain on the cards, and even the Gold Coast is getting some good falls as well, so great to see down there. 19 millimetres at Greenbank, and yeah, a lot of that in about 20 minutes. 14 mil here at Archerfield. I imagine that would still be counting, but again, they kind of missed the worst of it. So 41 mil at Amberley, 19 at Greenbank and counting. Great to see if we've got some personal weather station data around the Logan area. One thing that I am noticing now is we're beginning to see a bit of a line of potentially haily thunderstorms here, slushy hail developing just towards the south of the Brisbane River, and that's going to join up with this thunderstorm here. I mean, really lining up with our multicellular storm modes. Yeah, that's another thing that's frustrated me running this live coverage today, is seeing all of the people begging for a tornado to occur. We don't want something like that. That is, a tornado would be a disaster, especially in the Brisbane area. So that's a very, very good point. I'm very glad that somebody has said that. Yeah, you've got your action. Have a look at all this rainfall down here that's coming through. This sweet, sweet rain that's falling across the Gold Coast. It's beautiful stuff. Much needed rainfall. Bit of lightning embedded within it. It's not dangerous stuff. It's not a serious or significantly dangerous line of thunderstorms moving down there. There's no hail associated. It's what we want to see. It's rainfall with no nasties across the Gold Coast area. Just beautiful, beautiful stuff, and a lot of people really, really enjoying it. Whereas a little bit further north into the Logan City area, there is a lot of hail moving through, a lot of heavy rainfall, flash flooding, lots of lightning. We've got a lot of nasty impacts coming through in those areas, so it's not ideal. It's not something we want to be seeing or wishing on these people. Yeah, it's possible, and it has happened before, tornadoes in the Brisbane area. Just because it's built up doesn't mean a tornado won't occur or is impossible. Yeah, still strong stuff into the Brisbane area. Patriotic Aussie, thank you for that generous donation and your kind words as well. Yeah, that rainfall is getting jammed up into the Logan area, and again, like the latest frames of the radar imagery do suggest we're seeing some more of that rainfall beginning to develop, including this rainfall here that's pushing in. So we're likely to see some more rainfall pretty soon. No update to the warnings just yet in terms of the radar either. Ramon, thank you for becoming a channel sponsor. Yeah, this rainfall really beginning to pick up now, extending up towards Manly, but you guys are likely to miss the worst of it. And this will throw Cleveland in for pretty significant rainfall rates as well. Especially through the Redland City, but across towards Cleveland as well. And I imagine Beenleigh as well. Right through the Logan City area, we've got these precipitation rates here about 60 decibels or so. Yeah, looking really, really healthy, this thunderstorm. Substantial. That's for sure. Very, very substantial, this thunderstorm, as it moves south of the Redland City area, and it's likely to drop a lot of rainfall through some of these locations before it gets out into the northern parts of the goldfields. I keep saying goldfields because I'm a WA native. Bit of thunderstorm action developing north of Brisbane as well. Summer's actually just gotten itself going offshore from Maroochydore. But yeah, in terms of significant stuff into the Caboolture area, definitely nothing from this little outbreak here. We're going to see some rainfall begin to build into the Caboolture area momentarily. But yeah, nasty stuff not expected into the Caboolture area. And further up the Sunshine Coast for that matter either. No nasties expected from this point onwards up there. If you're brand new to the channel, of course, consider subscribing. It is the best way to remain up to date and informed when severe weather moves across Southeast Queensland and anywhere around Australia. So please do consider subscribing. It would be massively, massively appreciated. And I believe as well we've crossed 60,000 subscribers, which is unbelievable to me. It's truly, truly unbelievable. So I'm very, very thankful to everybody that has been watching. Manly has missed it. Manly located up here, so this front here, which is developing quite quickly. Manly has missed it. So let's see if we can get a bit of an update here on the Brisbane camera. Nothing, and it looks like it's all passing now towards because the camera looks down this way, so we're now looking at the behind of this thunderstorm. Will it hail? If it hasn't hailed already, then it's not going to. So northern suburbs of Brisbane kind of dodged this thunderstorm here, but I don't think we're going to be hearing anything from anyone in Logan saying that this is a fizzer. Is this a tail end of the storms? We still have the mess of stuff developing down here, but it's, again, like not changed anything throughout the entire duration of this live stream. Nothing has changed down there. So if we're going to see this upscaling and moving into the Brisbane area as a squall, it's going to do it exactly the same as these thunderstorms here. So not in a way that's concerning, but I reckon they're just going to move into the northeast of New South Wales or the goldfields. And thank you for that generous donation as well. Very much appreciated. Still some pretty heavy rainfall through here. And any update? 28 millimetres now at Greenbank, 42 at Amberley, 15 at Archerfield, 18 in Brisbane. Cleveland is the next spot to pick up all of this rainfall, and a place that I will be watching like a hawk. 30 to 45 minutes of really heavy rainfall. Yep. Lovely. Subscribed since Alfred. Thank you so much. No update just yet. We've got 8:10, so it was about half an hour ago, and we're looking at our next update being around the 9:15 time, so still 30 minutes away. Yeah, 30 minutes away from these thunderstorms. And no update to what we've seen across Central Queensland as well, because it's been pretty serious there. Pretty significant rainfall accumulations now beginning to build as well through parts of southeastern Queensland. In the Ipswich area, a lot of places have picked up 20 millimetres or so in the last hour. And if we have a look at these rainfall accumulations here on a website called The Weather Chaser, and it's an incredible website, couldn't recommend it enough, across southeast Queensland. This has a slightly wider range, I find, than the bomb stations sometimes, maybe not through southeast Queensland. But yeah, rainfall accumulation since 9 a.m. local have been pretty impressive through a lot of these places. 40 millimetres outside of Ipswich here, 41.4 at Amberley, 47 at Pullenville here, just outside of Brookfield and towards the northeast of Ipswich. 49 outside of Esk, but they've had about 3 or 4 different thunderstorms move through there. And then as we head down towards Warwick as well, some pretty good thunderstorm rainfall accumulations. 33 millimetres at Pilton, 48 at West Halden Alert. Overall, just very healthy rainfall accumulations. Great to see this sort of stuff. The biggest falls have been over the border into New South Wales. Grafton's picked up 84 millimetres of rainfall, and some pretty substantial falls just left, right and centre as a result of these thunderstorms. Healthy stuff. Well, very healthy stuff indeed. Just checking back in on this webcam, see if we can see anything, see if we've got any kind of display of lightning moving through. Nothing. Boring as. No update to the radar imagery either, unless we have a thunderstorm update here. Not quite. Thunderstorms really are looking like they're beginning to weaken off, actually, to be honest. Rainfall does remain heavy, but these thunderstorms are now beginning to weaken off. Still some strong wind gusts embedded within. But we're now looking at these thunderstorms now finally beginning to show that they're weakening off a little bit. Done in Brizzy for the night. We may be seeing a bit of a resurgence, though, later this afternoon, so I'm not going to say we're done in Brisbane for now. Later, possible, though. Oh, wow, Brad, thank you very, very much for that. That's extremely, extremely generous. Thank you so much. And you're more than welcome, just as everybody else on this stream. Hervey Bay, wow, it's a nothing burger up in Hervey Bay. Bit of wind and like 5 mil of rain. That absolute nothing burger up there. And even for Bundaberg right now, as this thunderstorm moves through, we've had some strong wind gusts, but yeah, again, a nothing burger up there. And it looks like these thunderstorms are now also beginning to ease off a little bit. We are starting to see a little bit of heavier rainfall move over the radar station. Oh, what is this developing out in the Wivenhoe Dam area? Oh, you're joking. Have we got a hook echo out there? I'm going to wait and see if this is developing. Yeah, because if we have a look at the Doppler, but also on the 54, have a look at this on the latest frame. That just looks like a hook echo to me. And we've still got this very, very heavy rain band. And it's still like supercells are possible as we head out towards tonight. In fact, supercells are expected because we've got that embedded supercell risk. So this moved right over the Marburg radar. The Marburg radar is terrible for Doppler wind, I've found. No, we don't want Taroom, we want Toowoomba. Toowoomba's actually really good because it is a little bit further away, but there's no rotation on it, so I'm pretty confident in saying that that's not a supercell thunderstorm, but yeah, just the rotation really, really got me there for a second. Well, at the top of the hour, I'm going to have to pack this stream up. I need to go and get some other stuff done. But yeah, just thank you to everybody that's stuck around today. It's been an incredible day for thunderstorms. Really, really busy one. The support has also been immeasurable, so thank you so much to everybody that has tuned in, donated, and subscribed as well. And of course, if you haven't already, then please do consider subscribing as well. Yeah, it's really just raining now in the Brisbane area. We still do have that kind of cloud. You can see that kind of line of cloud there. Quite wall cloudy in nature, which would be the back end of this stuff here moving through. But yeah, I mean, this is definitely the tail end of a lot of these thunderstorms. Thoughts of tomorrow, it's going to be interesting once again, and a warning, I will be live on those thunderstorms that develop later in the afternoon because some of them do look like they could potentially be severe. So yeah, I will most certainly be watching those very, very closely tomorrow afternoon and evening. But yeah, that's going to have to do it for today's live coverage. I don't think my voice can take any more of this. I'm straight to sleep, ready to wake up tomorrow morning for these severe thunderstorms that are going to develop. potentially develop along the northern parts of the Sunshine Coast, and I'll be back with forecasts on those throughout the course of tomorrow. But I want to thank everybody for joining me today on this live coverage. It's been an incredible day, record-breaking for myself personally, but also for some of these storms in Southeast Queensland. Just tremendous stuff has gone down, tremendous stuff has happened, and it really has been incredible to see. Thank you so much to everybody. Bo, I will be drinking those beers, don't you worry. But I'll see you all tomorrow in the coverage. I will see you all tomorrow for a recap on these thunderstorms, and I'll see you all tomorrow for a detailed live update, or at least a second video update on the potential for severe thunderstorms across northern parts of the Sunshine Coast and into the Capricornia Coast, Fraser Coast, and Burnett Forecast District. Thank you very much for all of the support, the donations, the new channel sponsors. I will be updating all of that tomorrow at some point as well. But that is going to do it for me today. I hope everybody has a fantastic evening. Stay safe, and if further dangerous severe thunderstorms develop, I will pull myself out of bed and run more live coverage. Thank you for the generous support there, D4. But I will see you tomorrow, hopefully, because that means no more severe thunderstorms. Take care, enjoy the show, enjoy the lightning, and enjoy the rainfall, and I'll catch you all in the next storm.